Welcome to Alfredo's Size 3 Taco Truck, a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, where now that they fixed CGR, we have no problems with the game and everything is perfect. I'm Vincent Curkov.
I'm Pat Van Value.
I'm Nate Horn.
I'm Alex Botts, and I'm not sure if that intro was supposed to be ironic or not, because I feel okay about the game.
I mean, that's like all of our intros where they're like sort of tongue-in-cheek ironic and sort of aren't, so...
I mean, there's probably some stuff that's still too strong, but not, like, as too strong as Cosmic the Ghost Rider. Cosmic Combo the Ghost Rider.
I mean, I still have plenty of problems, but it's not because things are too strong.
Well, yeah, I guess that's fundamental issues with the game, but yeah.
All right, and before we get too far into the podcast, there's a pre-post announcement from Nate about some event that he pretended he was going to run and then decided to actually run. I'm sorry, I've lost the thread of this. Nate, you want to tell him about squad goals?
That's a very helpful intro. Thank you, Vince. I can always
You're welcome.
count
I thought it was
on
very
you.
high. That's nice.
Squad Goals is happening in Chicago.
Woo.
We are just under half sold out, so if you want to get a slot, you should get on that sooner rather than later. You can register for a team even if you haven't figured out exactly who you're going to be bringing with.
Hang on, Nate.
Yeah.
What is squad goals though? I don't know what it is.
Squad Goals is a 3-man team tournament on May 18th and 19th in Pastimes, Comics, and Games, Chicago. You can find out the specific details at squadgoalsmcp.com.
And yeah, like you said, there's already 15 out of 32 teams registered, and there's already 29 players, though 15 should actually be 45 players, but not all the teams are fully filled out yet. But we've already got big names signed up, such as, for example, all of us except for Nate, because Nate's running it. So Alex Botts, Vincent Curkov, and Pat Van Valzo will be attending. We also got Zach Cohen, who won Longshanks, who won second
He won
win.
Longshanks, guys. It's
He
over.
won Longshanks. Mike DeLuca and Sooner and Lucas Sheik are going to be there. And there's another team that has Curtis Osborne and Johnny Pastrami and Schmid, whose first and last name are both Schmid. Anyway, there's like, and a bunch of other people that I recognize too, a lot of other names, and some locals from Chicago. It's gonna be great, and team tournaments are super, super cool. I think we've talked about them before, and now you do not have to go to Belgium to get one. There's a closer team tournament to you than Belgium if you live in the United States.
Also, the most recent exciting update to this, that we haven't finalized details, it's sounding very likely that we're going to be able to get the professional casual crew to come in and stream this.
Oh, that's super cool. I didn't know that at all, actually. This is a live response. You're telling me this for the first time.
Yeah, me and Pat are gonna have to get together and figure out some stuff, but the venue says they have internet to run this, so we're gonna try.
Wow. I can't believe all my teammates are like busy with other shit. I'm gonna be the only one who's focused on actually winning the damn tournament. we got a streamer motherfucker. We got somebody TOing. This shit sucks. I need better friends.
I'm pretty skeptical we're gonna play, but
Yeah.
What?
What?
Well,
Why?
okay. I definitely need better friends then.
What is this shit?
so I think
I'm
there's
playing.
a couple
I'll
things.
play all three if I have to.
I think there's a couple things that are likely to happen that will break down our team. I think if like 2 teams show up short a player,
Yeah.
like they had like a last minute cancellation, I think breaking up the taco truck guys is a thing that's likely to happen.
What?
Why do you think people are going to show up shorthanded, though?
Because this isn't in Belgium.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, I think there's way more room for last minute flakiness for this.
If you're a Chicago local and you want to be a ringer, reach out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Actually,
Yeah.
Maybe we should have some backup ringers so they can't take my fucking players.
Also, if you're interested and are looking for a team, or you're looking for a person to fill out your team, we do have a Squad Goals channel in our Discord. There's already been a couple people looking for a third person to fill out a team or looking for a team they can join. So hop on in there if you want to participate in a team tournament, but your locals are flaky or don't want to travel or whatever reason.
Yeah, if you're a Ronin in search of a daimyo, then that's the spot for you.
Yep.
That really got to Vince. Good lord.
Yeah, for some reason that really upset Vincent Pat. I don't really know why. I feel like that's just the type of shit I'd be saying every week. I don't have to be on this podcast. I could be practicing for squad goals right now, since apparently nobody else on my team is fucking doing that.
Wow, whoa. I went to a whole event to practice yesterday.
That's true. You got a lot of experience in the X-Force match. You went to a 4-person tournament where 3 people were X-Force. So that was you.
I mean, I think X-Force will be popular at squad goals.
That's
so.
true. We're going to destroy Shamid. All right. Anyway, everybody come to squad goals. It'll be sick. Team tournaments are the best. If you don't come, you're no longer my friend. That is the end of the squad goals.
Oh, actually, sorry, it's far from the end of the squad goals thing. I know that Nate's going to be annoyed at me about this, but I don't care. Hey, if you want to TO a large event and that's like a thing you want to do, right? Come practice that by being a judge for squad goals. I am highly skeptical that Nate alone can judge a 96-player tournament. Highly, highly skeptical.
Okay, well, so I'm not as mad at you as you might think. I do, I've actually had people reach out to me asking if they want help, if I want help with TOs and running the event. And what I've told all of them is try to find a team to be on first, right? I would rather have more teams in this event. But if that can't, if you can't find a team or your team falls through for whatever reason, and you do want to be a judge, I will take help. I'm confident that I could do it without help, but it would be a lot easier for me if I had help, obviously, right? So I'm not turning down help, but I would rather see this event hit cap first, right? And then if there's still people, I will take judges and assistants and things like that.
That makes sense to me.
All right. Awesome. Other announcement. CarlCon tickets go on sale probably, I don't know when this is coming out, but probably went on sale on the 12th, Monday.
Yes.
We're recording this. That's still in the future. It almost certainly will be in the past by the time this comes out.
Yes. And probably sold out, but there will be a waiting list. So if you want to go and it was sold out, get on that waiting list. But yes, the tickets go on sale on the 12th. It is September 7th at Solano Brewing Company, which is the same venue we had last year. We're still capped at 32 players because we haven't found a good venue to be able to do 2 days. So it's going to be 1-day event, 5 rounds, a similar setup last time. Carl's already working on new boards because he's not happy having everybody play on the really cool and unique boards from last year. They have to play on new cool and unique boards.
Damn.
Yeah. CarlCon.net. Check it out. All right. What are we talking about today?
Well, I think we're obligated to mention our continuing dominance of the team tournament at LVO that we have won
Hell yeah.
2 of 2 years.
Insane.
Nobody can
Nice
stop
work,
this
guys.
freight train. We're no longer has-beens. All of us have won an event at a major con this year. Woo!
What did Bots win this year?
Yeah, what did I win this year?
Yeah, good point. God, Bots, you're so... I mean, he gets to still be the top of an affiliation.
Oh, that's true. He's the only person with a faction badge at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you guys, you win these like regional events and stuff, but I've demonstrated total mastery of my
Cabal.
craft.
Your faction that you're still playing, it definitely won't cease to be your badge after
Why would I keep
Adepticon.
playing it after I mastered it? There's nothing more for me to explore. I've perfected Cabal play, and there's nothing. I'm moving on to a new challenge. All right, what's the?
Alex, I get it, and I'm going to put it in words that show that I get it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So, directly speaking to your soul here,
Yeah.
it is the greatest samurai that lets his sword rust in its scabbard.
True, and based. Agreed.
I am on the wrong podcast.
This is off to a rip-roaring start. We're really crushing this episode.
Okay, anyway, you guys won an event.
Yes.
You played in the you didn't make it to day 2 of the Las Vegas singles event, so you went to the much more prestigious Las Vegas team event.
Yes.
And what was this? What was the format for this team event? I mean, I know it was three-person teams, but like, how restricted was list building?
Character
So
only.
it's unique characters with a asterisk on that for anyone who is trying to like make a team at the convention, right? And like he had, I don't know if any teams actually did this. I know last year it happened, but like if people wanted to play and they didn't bring extra models, there's kind of like that asterisk of we'll have allowances to make sure people can still play. But it was just characters only, tactics and crisis cards. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. And just to be clear, squad goals is also like that, right? Like not the not the asterisk for assembling a team there, but the but it's unique characters only, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, anyway. And what did you guys play at the team tournament, the three of yous? I assume it was Shield,
I
X-Men.
bet you can
and-
guess. Yeah.
It was Shield, X-Men. It was Spider Foes, right? I actually don't remember, Pat. Did you? Yeah. Okay, cool.
There were a few people that asked me if I was still playing Brotherhood, though, in a theme of the weekend that was people confusing me and you,
That's really
which
funny.
was very funny. And I was like, no, I'm pivoting.
you played with it? That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm pivoting. Well, I'm not pivoting. Gentle listener. I am still playing Brotherhood. How many rounds was it? 3? 4?
4.
Dang
They
it.
got the
Well-
full 16 teams, so the perfect 4-round bracket.
There was some talking involved there. It could have been 3.
What?
Yeah, so on Sunday, they kick us out of the rooms kind of early in the day,
No.
right? Like the venue tries to have people out of there by like 5:30 or 6.
Right.
And so there was a discussion if we wanted to ship captain crew with the other undefeated team to see who won or play it out, and we decided to play it out.
Huge. Did you make it out in time, or did you have to like sprint
Yeah.
out of there when you?
No, it worked out.
Nice.
Yeah, we finished just in time for me to finally go to the bathroom and then miss the award ceremony. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
the
saw
one-
the picture. I saw the picture of Pat and of Vince and Nate accepting the award, and yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Pat just vanished without saying anything to anyone, so.
Yeah.
But you won. You won, Pat. You won the. Didn't you? You clutched up when Vince flopped in the last round.
Why do we have to keep presenting the narrative this way? I was not.
How would
playing
you
particularly
present
well.
it?
Yeah, Pat,
But
tell
I
us.
wasn't-
Tell us about your experience here.
Well, round 1, I played a perfect Spider Foe's mirror, except he had Toad and I had Widow, which sucked ass. But he was a great guy. I was not happy about the matchup. And then I put the game on being able to place my Rhino in a position where he could Rhinovery. And then, spoilers, I couldn't.
Sad.
Which was bad, and I lost. And then I kept losing to X-Men and something else.
Hellfire.
Hellfire. Oh, that was a good game, too. All cool people throughout the weekend, even though I was very tilted about my play.
I assume you reported the score round wrong on this round 3, and you did not lose 20-0.
Probably not. Yeah.
That would be hype.
No, it was reasonably close. But not
Okay.
mega
Wow.
close. That was an interesting game to me because it was like, it really highlighted the difference between Spider Foes and Hellfire to me, even though they play a lot of the same models in the list. Just like the reliability of having the steals online with Hellfire is absurd compared to Spider Foes.
True.
Makes sense.
And Emma was going off a bit in that game. Whatever. I let her. Yes, but finally I found my place, which was a player that did not have Brace for Impact on a table that had 2 size 4s and several size 3s.
Let's go.
And I finally won a game. It just happened to be when we needed it. That was the weekend.
So Pat won the team tournament alone.
Yep.
Yeah, with a loss, and then a win.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
He knew he was just saving it for when we needed it. He trusted in us the other rounds to win their games.
And I had the second round won, and then I just decided not yet. I don't want to contest this point. I'm gonna let him try and figure it out, and then he did, and I lost.
Sad.
Oh, yeah, I got really mad watching that game.
Yeah,
That's
you were
right.
not thrilled about my play there. Neither was I.
walking away from a madman so that Emma could have walk uncontested flip on her 2 dice instead of walk contested flip on her 2 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll iron that out for squad goals
Yeah.
when you guys leave my team because you have to manage fucking streaming or whatever. And how
All right,
about your
and-
games, Vince?
Yeah, you're right. We don't need Nate's games. Nate was team captain.
Okay,
He just
I have
like-
to do this in order. I was gonna do Pat and then Vince and then Nate. You want me to do Pat and then Nate and then Vince? Fine. Nate,
no,
how
it's
were your
fine.
games?
We got it.
Shut up, Vince. Nate's talking. Nate, how were your games in the team tournament?
So my LVO story holds very funny because it's like a mirror image of last year. I went undefeated in the LCQ. I scrubbed out day 1 of the Invitational, and then I won all my games in the team tournament to win the team tournament. I've done exactly that 2 years in a row.
Hell yeah.
Looking forward to next year.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good record, though.
Yeah,
what,
I mean,
what
I
does that
was-
make your game record on that weekend? It's like
9-1.
insane.
And
Nice
then
work.
there were 2 random games I played Saturday after scrubbing out, and I won one against my buddy Ron, and I lost to Pat because his list is a fucking disaster for X-Men. So I guess that's 10-2 for the weekend.
Still
Wait,
disagree
sorry,
about
Oh, you lost to this Pat.
This
Duncan
Pat,
was
this
not
Pat
there.
right
Yeah.
here. No,
Right.
this Pat, he crushed me, dominated
Hell yeah.
me.
Hell yeah. Nice work, Pat.
that. Yeah, well, okay. It wasn't a real game, but yes.
Why was it not a real game?
Because we were like talking about stuff. And that's when
well,
I'm good at the
sure.
game, is when we're talking about stuff.
You just gotta chat up your opponents about like their job and the weather every time you play
Well,
a
no,
tournament
not,
game.
okay, not like that.
Well, nice work, Nate. Vince,
Yeah, I
now
mean, I'm
it's your-
feeling
Oh, no.
good about X-Men. I have a lot to say, but it's like tied into some of the new releases too. So I'll just kind of like the stuff I learned and the stuff I developed at the roster. I'm just gonna save for later in this episode.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Vince, you're up.
Excellent. I just want to point out that Nate only won all his games because he's team captain, and he gave himself the best advantage every single time, and definitely threw me to the wolves every time. So round 1, Vince, who was like, I feel like I'm the best into CGR. I got the CGR guy. I beat him 16-1.
Damn.
It was actually really, he's a really nice guy. His name on Longshanks is Brigadar, but he's actually he was like starting to talk to me about YouTube, and I was like, oh, that's cool, you have like a little YouTube channel too. And he's like, sure. And then somebody came over and they were like, oh, battle the podcaster versus the YouTuber. And I'm like, okay, am I the YouTuber? And no, I looked him up. He's like Tabletop Titans. He has like 100,000 followers. It's not.
Oh,
he's some-
I know that channel. Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like,
cool.
he is like actually a YouTuber, not like the paltry thing that I do.
Oh, that's cool.
Super nice
I've
guy.
got Judgment battle reports from only a month ago. Recent, up-to-date Judgment battle reports.
Wow. That's
Yep.
even rarer than a popular YouTuber, a judgment player.
Sorry, Vince. Continue.
It's okay. Yeah, so we had a good game there. And then round 2, I get CGR again. Woohoo! And I won that one as well on let's say some, I don't know, like freaking Crimson Dynamo living through a CGR spender, even on full health, is like a pretty dicey thing. But I managed to make that happen, and then got to like kill his entire team.
Hell yeah.
It's like a coin flip. It's like with all the defensive tech in the world that he has, it's like the Tony reroll, the disruption field, the being on full health with reduced damage 1. It's still like 54 to kill Dynamo.
Damn. Well, at least it got nerfed.
Yep. Which would be the last time I play against CGR, which put me at 4-0 versus CGR for the whole weekend.
Hell yeah.
Model
Nice
didn't
work.
need to be nerfed at all. AMG, you got it wrong. I had a really good game against one of the guys from the Montreal Shark Tank, Gab. This was the one matchup where I was in the bathroom while tables were being picked, and oh my god, did I get wrecked on table selection. There was like this size 3 and size 4 like separating the gamma points. and he just like grabbed stuff and ran. It was so close, and I misplayed at the end, and he just misplayed harder.
Nice.
I
That's a good way to win.
order of ops my cards wrong, and he just didn't take the attack on Luke Cage. Just like did my attacks wrong.
Yeah.
And then I lost my last round, which was kind of impressive because I had dazed Ultron on turn 1, KO'd him on turn 2, he regened, and then I dazed him on turn 3. And I was just like, essentially what happened was I lost track of some of the extracts. I wasn't as good about picking up extracts when I killed people. I instead just took the most efficient attacks I could. And then I had Bullseye die to Logan, and we didn't drop his extract until like the cleanup phase.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And so I just like let the opponent decide what to do because it's like it's on me. It's my thing, and like Logan died that turn and probably would have just picked it up, and then had it, and then the guy that killed him would have had it.
Yeah.
But instead we dropped it in the cleanup phase of that turn. And like his first activation was just like pick it up with one of the Wolverine boys and just like double run away.
Yeah.
And that was the point that won him the game.
Brutal.
Yeah, I mean it's on me. Like it's nobody's fault but mine.
Yeah.
But he also played really well from a really rough like first couple turns. Like my dice went off early, and it's shield. Like when shield's dice goes off, like it is the apocalypse for your opponent.
Makes sense.
So yeah, but thankfully Pat clutched up, and we won the whole thing.
Hell yeah. Nice work. Undefeated at LVO. Asterisk.
The biggest asterisk. Nate was what, 9-1 he said on the weekend?
Yeah.
Boss, what do you think my record on the weekend was?
Well, I already know it's 1-3 in the team tournament.
Uh-huh.
So 3-7.
Wow, okay. Above expectations. 4-6.
Oh, nice.
Only because I beat Nate.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be pessimistic. It's just you asking me as a quiz made me think I should be as pessimistic as possible.
Yes, I agree. You should.
All right. Well, nice work. That was LVO. We'll get them next time, except that we also got them this time, but not me.
We'll get them again as well.
Yeah, and even more so. What else are we talking about? Stuff has happened to this game since we talked recently.
What? Nothing's going on.
Okay,
I think we
we're
should
done.
talk about the CGR nerf first because it will probably be referenced in the other discussions anyway. So,
Okay.
CGR got nerfed.
What changed about him, bots?
Okay. So there are 3 big changes. The first one is chains is once per turn. So the pull is just once per turn. It used to be once per turn per target. Now it's once per turn. The second one is the spender went from cost 6 to cost 8, but is otherwise unchanged, right? I think that's right. Yeah. So the big thing, well, I mean, first of all, 2 more expensive is rough for him anyway, obviously, because when he keeps his power up for longer, he can use skulls for longer, but then also it stops him from being able to do 2 spenders in an activation with no matter the cost, and other power shuffling shenanigans. And then the last thing that got changed is it now checks whether he gets a psychosis token in the cleanup phase, which means it does not count the so it generates the power, the like random power, and then checks for psychosis in the cleanup phase, both of those, which means it does not include the next turn's flat 1 per power that every model gets. So he is less likely to keep psychosis up, even if he has the same power rolls every turn. So that's it, right? I did it right?
Yeah.
Yay!
I mean, yeah, so you mentioned all of the changes. One of the things that I saw a couple of people miss initially, right, is that moving the power roll to the cleanup phase means his turn 1 is significantly changed. Because he still
right.
starts the game crazy, right?
Yes.
He starts the game with a psychosis token. Oh, you did miss something. Haha. I'll get to correct you. He starts the game crazy and does not get the bonus power roll. So his turn 1, he can't interact, can't do any scenario stuff, and also only has 1 power. So like what he can accomplish on turn 1 without help is way less. And also, I think this kind of highlights and compounds one of his issues where, like, if you do juice him up, like, all right, fine, I'll play him in Inhumans and I'll give him power so he can teleport up and shoot things, right? If him spending down will have a noticeable impact on how often he gets to be crazy. Like, if he's on 0 or 1 power, his odds of being crazy before were actually pretty good and are now pretty bad. Right, because like you mentioned, the 1 guaranteed power, like D5 plus 1 is such a difference than D5, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he also, the other thing that I think a lot of people have missed is that because it happens in the cleanup phase, he rolls for power 1 less time every game.
Yes.
Right.
Because, like, the cleanup phase doesn't really happen on turn 6.
Or whatever the last turn of the game ends up being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just has less power throughout the game. The thing you missed, by the way, Bots, is when he is dazed, he gets a psychosis token.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, I remember.
That wasn't always true? That's new?
That's new. He would pretty much always have it, because if he dazes, he's going to flip with a bunch of power and then gain a power and then roll for power and probably be crazy. But now it's when dazed, he gets the token, and because of the way, like, the timing of flipping cards for days and stuff, he will keep that token the turn his first injured turn. He will be psychotic, and there's no way
but he doesn't get the
that.
power roll.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
because
correct.
He's dazed during the power roll.
Yes.
Oh yeah, like that's the change to Spirit of Vengeance is just like, that's the thing that actually nerfs his character. Like, the other stuff is
definitely
literally worse, but like that change is the biggest one in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that has to be right.
D5 less power, less crazy. If you daze him, he's actually robbed of his 5 dice of power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think this model's trash.
That doesn't tell us a lot.
I don't know. I just think he's bad now. Like, I don't.
No,
like,
I actually sort of agree. I'm just laughing because you always say that about all these models, and
yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. This is like, it's not useful. Listener, don't ever listen to me about 6+ threat models. I think they're all bad. I could beat it before; it was terrible, and now it's way worse. And I'll probably still be able to beat it.
But it seems pretty hard to run him now. I know, like, the thing you just said, Nate, about, like, you could run it in Humans to make sure that he actually gets to do something turn 1. But God, he's so expensive now. Like, power expensive to run in something like Inhumans, where the whole point is that you're giving him a lot of power. And I mean, his attacks still hurt a lot in Guardians, no question, and in general if he gets psychosis. But like, it seems pretty hard to justify 6 points for him to me now, because I mean, like, one of the things that I think, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am. I think big attrition models have to, in order to justify themselves, they have to be doing some goofs turn 1, basically. Like, I kind of think that's almost mandatory, because they're like, if you have 7 points of attrition and it's Malekith and he gets dazed, you lose all 7. But if you had 7 points of attrition and it's like a 3 and a 4, or like 2 2s and a 3 or whatever, then it's usually harder to daze all of that before it gets to do stuff in a turn. So I think that, like, models like Cosmic Ghost Rider and Malekith tend to have longer downtime where they're not doing attrition in a game, even if, and when they're good, it's because the attrition that they do is so insanely, like, powerful or consistent or both or whatever. But CGR basically having an off turn on turn 1 feels really rough to me. So I don't know. I would be
I mean, it's a lot. Like, if you picture him being just 2-3 threats, all right, and it's like, okay, cool, 2 of my 5 models are not doing any scenario work turn 1.
Yeah.
And also maybe making a single 6-die attack. And
Yeah,
that's
that's the
what
other
my two
thing,
3
too.
threats are doing is combining to do one 6-die attack. It's rough.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, the fact that he can't do scenario turn 1 feels like a huge deal now, because he basically can't do anything turn 1. I mean, yeah, except for make one 4-die attack that counts skulls. Or I'm sorry, one 6-die attack that's 4 range and counts skulls, which is a good attack. But
Yeah.
It's not a 6 threat attack though. Like,
yeah, I mean, so the fact that you have 6 points on the field that can't do scenario turn 1 and also is not dazing a model automatically feels really bad. But
like Hulk walk throw something size 3 is like way more than what this guy does in turn 1.
yeah, it feels like it will be most of the time. Totally. And
Yeah. Well, and then also like to do something similar with CGR, right? Like it's not out of the question for him to be able to like shoot a person to get to do power or pull someone off a point, right? Which is like a rough imitation of what your Hulk plan just was, a walk throw, right? Like walk throw is a common Hulk thing. But the problem with doing that is you are super unlikely to be crazy on turn 2, right? If he
yeah, you
spends
have to
his 2
hit 5
power.
out of 5, right?
Yes.
If you, yeah, that's wild.
It's like
and
win
like-
5 coin flips in a row, or your turn 2 is now way less good than it would have been. You know what I mean? Like his.
Yeah.
I think part of this that I haven't decided on for myself yet, right, is just how bad do his non-crazy turns feel? Because like playing into CGR, old CGR, he's just crazy like 80% of the game.
Yeah, he was
right.
so-
Like
Yeah,
all
exactly.
of my
Yeah, it's like-
internal metrics for him are about crazy CGR, and so it's just like I gotta evaluate how good does he feel on the turns he's not crazy now. Especially because I think before, the best plan for non-crazy turns was to just wait and then pretend to be a very fast Gwen and last activation pull a bunch of people off of points, right? And just like don't make attacks because your attacks aren't good and save your power last turn, pull like 3 people off points. And they took that away from him too, which good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not complaining, but it's just like, so I have no good idea of how I feel about his non-crazy turns, which I think will inform a lot of how I feel about new CGR.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I hate this character. Like, I think I think the character is boring, and now he's boring and not good.
Damn.
Like,
He's so
and
zany.
I love that he was like, I love that he's probably not going to see play in this game, so that we can see more interesting stuff get played. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Hulk is like too good, but also Hulk is a very interesting dynamic model that I think has really unique weaknesses and is really interesting to play on the table. He's interesting to pilot. He's interesting to play against. I'd rather play against Hulk a million times than see terrible CGR on the other side of the table.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sorry,
Like-
I hit my mic. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wish they had gone back to the drawing board, but also in an emergency balance patch, you can't go back to the drawing board. You might buff him. You know?
Yeah.
Also, they just don't go back to drawing the board. And like,
Yeah.
There's like a couple times where you could argue they have, but yeah, I
name,
largely
name
agree with
one.
you. Black Bolt.
No.
What? He's pretty different.
He's like his profile of being a immobile turret hasn't changed. His leadership didn't change. His attacks, they changed a single die off one of his 2 attacks. They changed a superpower.
And he got a bodyguard. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say
So
he lost being able to boost his dice for bodyguard. That is not going back to the drawing board.
So
Okay, fine.
I think he is one of the most dynamic changes because how he plays fundamentally changed.
Sure.
In that, like, he used to be a model you constantly pushed power at,
Yeah.
and now he's constantly a model you pull power from, and then
Yes.
can also redirect attacks to himself to make more power and to get his, super secret backside
I'm not
attack
trying to
unlocked.
say that it wasn't a meaningful change, but if like 85% of the text on his card is the same as it was, they did not go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's why I said like these are like arguable because there's
Yeah,
like
and that's why
ones
I'm
where
arguing.
they haven't changed a ton of like physical rules on the card, but they have fundamentally changed how the model functions, which is my argument for Black Bolt. I think there's a similar argument for Bullseye. That like the Bullseye change really was like transformative. Like the guy lost a threat and went to a gainer, and like how he played and how good he is just like it's just so different.
Yeah, I mean, at Bullseye, I think you have a stronger argument for, but also it's hard to compare how he played before to after because no one played him before. So it's just like an empty void of data versus a grade 2 threat.
That's true.
But also doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would like to see, I don't know. Whatever. I also just fundamentally don't care about this character as a fictional character. So them just like, they could have been like, he's banned. And other than being mad at them for stealing the people's money that bought the model, I didn't buy the model. I wouldn't care at all. It would have purely improved my experience of MCP.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was thinking about that and the fact that I have a primed unpainted CGR that I bought as like he's fucking good, I should learn to play him kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm just like, all right, fine. And so the primed unpainted CGR is sitting next to my primed unpainted Malekith on my shelf that's sitting next to my prime unpainted Thanos that's sitting on my shelf.
Is it also next to a primed unpainted MODOK 1? Because that's you gotta get the full trilogy go or the full set going.
I don't know if my MODOK 1 is primed or not. I'd have to go look.
Vince, really quick, what's trilogy but 4?
Yeah. Quadrology? I don't know. What does it say on the Aliens box set?
No, it's tetralogy, but
Tetralogy? No, that's not 5?
No.
No.
What is...
Five
Dang.
would
I
be
guess that
like
would-
pentology.
God, you guys are all so much
I don't
smarter
think it
than
would
me. Okay.
be.
I'm being very quiet for a reason. That's
Maybe it would be pentalogy. I can't remember if penta is Greek or Latin.
I can't do it. Yeah.
Alex graduated from... just got his graduate's degree or whatever, and is just picking on me because now I'm very clearly the least educated person on the podcast. And he's just bullying me.
I just
in the
think
comments
tetralogy
about
sounds
how
cool.
Alex is
I wasn't gonna
mean.
make you do the whole all the way up to 10. I can't do all the way up to 10. Wait, maybe I can.
When do we get to septology?
What'd you say? Septology would be 7, right?
Yeah, that's my guess for 7. I don't know the
yeah.
answer.
Anyway, oh right, Cosmic Ghost Rider. So do you? I guess. I mean, maybe this is skipping ahead a little bit, but do you guys think that Guardians are no longer the definitely best faction in the game then, after Cosmic has ridden off into the Ghost sunset?
I think they just go back to playing Thanos, and they're fine. I don't think they're hands down the best, but I think they're still on the S tier. Like,
You do think
the
they're like
leadership
still
is
comparable to? Well, I had them and Webbs in the S tier. I don't know if I can't remember if you agreed with that, Vince, but
I think they remain with Webbs in the S tier. Like, there's an argument that maybe Webbs are better than them now, but I don't really think so. I think because I think it convinces. So if we go full Vince
oh my
here,
God, he's doing it again.
Oh,
He's doing it
doing it
again.
again.
He's gonna be like, actually,
it
they got
convinces them
better
to
because
actually, like, Cosmic Ghost Rider was not good into Webbs. You shouldn't have been playing him into Webbs. You should have been playing like your Agent Venoms and your like other stuff into Web Warriors, and it's just going to convince them to play that matchup correctly. Like now,
He always
I think
does
Webbs
this. Every time something gets nerfed, it's like they got buffed. They now know how to play the matchup perfectly. It's actually a buff.
I was really hoping he would go with the angle of like, no, Web Warriors are going to be nerfed now because people aren't teching for CGR and can use all of their tech slots on dealing with webs. So it's actually worse to be webs now.
Yeah, buy stocks in the Venoms, guys.
This is hurting my brain.
No, I still think the thing that's like, so I still think Guardians are S tier, and I think the second the next 6 threat Boogeyman shows up, even if they had slipped back down to A or B, they're going to go right back to being S because they're the best home for these nonsense things because of how their dumb leadership works.
All right, a message to AMG. You guys, you nailed it with Malekith. My 6+ threat monster was really fun and dynamic to play. He moved every action. He had a lot of cool little decisions to make. Didn't love where you went with the Cosmic Ghost Rider. I think he was a little bit flatter. The pull was very nice, but just optimizing using the spender 80 times in a row, not fun. So when you create another broken model that nobody's ever heard of, that's like 7 or 8 threat or whatever, talk to me, all right? I can play test that. I promise I won't nerf him at all. I'm just gonna add a few more decision points, and then we'll put it live, all right? It'd be great. I don't know, maybe yeah. I was gonna try to come up with some like options for people that nobody's ever heard of, but if you guys haven't heard of them, I definitely have not heard of any of the Marvel models. So
I'm way ahead of you, buddy.
Man.
Let's go the Beyonder.
Okay, I'm in. Beyonder, 8 threat. He's got 4 different types of free movement. He goes beyond. I assume that's part of the lore.
I don't know. I literally googled strongest Marvel character. No one knows. The Living Tribunal, which is
I've heard of that one. Somebody posted a picture of.
I could not tell you anything about him. Pat, tell me about the Living Tribunal.
Well, he's alive, and
it's a good start.
Wait, this guy looks cool as hell. He's got like a floating head.
he looks cool as hell. I'm hearing from sources.
He's got a floating head. He's got three floating heads.
Well, it's one head, but 3 faces.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's even cooler.
It's like one of those He-Man toys.
He's like
Nobody
Janus,
else come with those.
Maybe Janus, the Greek god that's facing in 2 directions because he represents time, so he's facing the past and the future. But the Living Tribunal's got a third one facing, I don't know, whatever the Z-axis of time is. That's very exciting. There, that's a name for a superpower, the Z-axis of time. AMG, call me. We're going to 9 threat, folks.
Can I back up and push back against the stupid thing Vince just said?
Which is what? I said a bunch of stupid things very near.
So you said the thing that everybody on the internet says that makes me mad about how whatever big awful kaiju they print next will obviously be best at Guardians, right? Because they're the best home for it. And I was like, cool. That's why we saw Malekith and Guardians all the time, right? No, was that not true?
We should have.
Well,
no,
to be
we
fair,
shouldn't have.
Malekith was a leader. The other,
yeah, well, he was a leader and had like affiliated tactics cards. There's totally ways for them to make big models that aren't best in Guardians, and that's just the thing people say that I think has like negative conversational value. I think CGR was only best in Guardians because he was affiliated and got crew. If it wasn't for crew, he would have been better in other factions.
I mean, I definitely think the crew was part of like the huge, like unpickable problem because like none of the things you could do that would counter something like him, he was either immune to it or could spend a turn being immune to it.
Yeah. And so like, I saw a bunch of people talking like, oh, do we need to nerf Guardians to make sure this doesn't happen again? Fuck no. Guardians are fine, right? This was a unique case of them getting a affiliated, stupid, overpowered model, right? They don't have to worry. They can print big expensive models that aren't best in Guardians, and it's not that hard to do so.
I mean, I kind of feel like maybe I'm misremembering, and that's totally possible. Weren't they top of the pile pre-CGR's release?
They were very good. Yeah, I mean, yes. Like, they were good pre-CGR. They'll be good without him. I don't, to go back to Boss's original question, I think they probably slide just outside of S tier, but they're still going to be very, very good. Like, if you were playing Guardians and having fun, you should keep playing Guardians. They'll still do well and win events. I do think they lose a step here, because I do think the, like, switch to Thanos is a markedly different. I have a way easier time dealing with Thanos than I do a CGR.
Yo, they should make the Vanisher the next big stupid model that has too much power. He's in Brotherhood of Evil Mutants according to Wikipedia. He has a cat according to Wikipedia. The perfect character. His name.
I feel like Alex totally listened to what you said, Nate.
Oh my god! You know how they always make these dumb names that are like Meducilla, make Inhuman or whatever her name is. Blackagar Boltagon. Vanisher's name, first of all, in case it's not clear, Vanisher, obviously he teleports, right? Hence his name, right? His name is Telford Porter. That's genius. That's like
that's some real Sonic the Hedgehog level pseudonyms.
That is inspired. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby peaked in November 1963 when they invented Vanisher (parentheses Telford Porter close parentheses).
I like to think they don't come up with like the human names until they're like about to ship it, and they're like, "Oh fuck,
we forgot again." God damn it!
I want to live in the alternate.
and they found it funny, so they just kept doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to live in the alternate timeline where Alex works at AMG and just pitches them the worst fucking idea he can think of every single time. It's just like, all right, the Vanisher, he's like 22 threat, and he just like literally has a rule that if he can get 10 power, he wins the game.
That's a great idea. Maybe you should be a couple threat less though, so you can legally play him in some threat levels. Maybe he should be 20.
No, he has a tactics card that gives you extra threat.
I love that I had a terrible idea, and Alex made it worse by making it a legal model you could play.
Yeah.
It was more terrible.
I bet you could stop him from getting 10 power. Mask. Mask is a fictional supervillain appearing in American comic books. Anyway.
Okay,
Name
so
is Jim
so
Carrey.
CGR nerf. He's trash now, right? We all agree he's trash. Does anybody have counterpoints?
I mean, I think he's much worse. I think he could still show up and be a problem for players who are willing to let Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah.
Because, like, if he rolls hot on some of his power rolls early, he can still snowball into some really stupid situations. I guess I don't know what percentage of players are okay with that play pattern, right? And I'm kind of hoping it's 0% because I don't want to see him or deal with him. But I guess we'll see.
I just thought of a better way to frame this question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so like in theory, when CGR came out, the idea was that he killed the big guy. Like that was what he was supposed to do. And then it turned out that he just killed everything. It like didn't matter if it was a big guy or not. Does he still do that? Like, is this model a good model to take into like a Malekith or a Thanos as a tech pick? Because you just spender them and they cease to exist?
I don't know.
I think that would have been true if they didn't make the spender cost $1 million.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with you, but it's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, like I think if they had just changed his whole power generation pattern, then I think there's more room for him to come in and do that. But like, getting to 8 is really hard.
Yeah. It seems really tough to get to 8, like while actually doing anything in the run up to getting 8. It's he probably will have 8 power during the game. I would be pretty surprised if he didn't.
If you want it to happen, it will happen.
But like, you're just hanging around waiting for a bus to show up until then. Like, I'm not really. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to. It's just he's just so expensive. I mean, I'm definitely willing to be wrong about this because it's sort of hard for me to picture what the rest of the situation looks like. So maybe it's playable, but it just seems there's a lot of conditions now. So sorry, not a lot of conditions like the things that models get applied, but there's his power is very conditional, is what I'm trying to say.
I thought for sure when you started that sentence, Vince, you were going to ask if we were going to go back to like the big kaiju meta because CGR was no longer here to keep them in check.
Oh no, I don't think that's. I think they've nerfed like every kaiju except for Hulks.
Well, there are multiple Hulks.
There are, and they're like
Nerf She-Hulk. I agree.
I mean, the I-Hulk and more importantly, normal Hulk is like he's too strong, but I don't think he's oppressive.
No. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I-Hulk is too strong. I think Hulk might be too strong,
I'm like
but I don't
constantly scared of I-Hulk. And
I think he's good, but
he's
like,
specifically good into your faction.
That
Like,
too.
take off the shield goggles a little bit, and you'll be less scared of I-Hulk.
I mean, I really think I-Hulk is good. I actually think he should be played more than he is played.
I agree with that.
In the game, but I don't think he's broken. Or I mean, broken is such a strong word. People get mad at me for that. I don't even think he's like above the curve. Really, he feels like appropriately costed for a 7 threat to me.
I agree. But no, Pat, we're not going to the kaiju meta. It's going to be all Web Warriors all the time, forever.
Okay, cool. I'll just
Horrible.
stop playing.
Huge. Pat. Bushido, you're about to be on the right podcast.
No. They'll release some spider foes and I'll come back. It'll be fine.
Nice. Yeah, that's true. Those models look cool as hell. You agree that Sandman looks cool, right? Surely we can come together as a team and agree that that model looks cool.
There's
Are you not
a
excited
bad
about that model?
in
Insane.
that faction.
I don't pay attention to models.
What? All right. Well, I actually think that when he comes out, he will be my favorite model. If you count his grunts that are just his hands, which is
That model.
an inspired idea.
That is an inspired idea. I don't hate it.
He's got a
Oh,
big
okay,
fucking
that's-
fist. He's gonna punch you. That rocks.
He's not
not
doing the
nervous
Hulk
about-
pose, which is the real problem.
Well, that's true. He's not doing Hulk pose, so you can't play him. I wouldn't play a model that's not doing Hulk pose.
What's Hulk
Please
pose?
no.
Hulk pose. Hulk pose. Vince is begging you not to ask.
Bad. I fell into the trail.
Hulk pose is when models are just like running, like they got like one hand out and one hand back. And I've been insisting to Vince and Pat every game night that my list is built around Hulk pose models. Because Juggernaut, if you take away the lamppost, Hulk pose. Hulk,
Yes.
Hulk pose. The
Yes.
Blob, Hulk pose. Apex
Is he?
Sabretooth, Hulk pose.
I gotta go look at my blob. Hold on.
The
about-
Blob absolutely is doing the
Oh yeah, no, he's
the
Hulk.
blob is,
Okay,
yeah.
Oh god damn it! That's my nightmare.
but like, okay, Mystique is not Hulk posing, right?
That's true. Mystique
No.
is not Hulk posing.
Okay, but like Quicksilver is.
Quicksilver, Hulk posing.
Is Sam Wilson Hulk posing?
No, not really.
Yeah, okay, not by default, but if you wanted to make him Hulk posing, I don't.
Yeah,
think that would be too
if I was
hard.
good with like modeling and stuff, but I just like on Senators I play like between 11 and 14 points of Hulk posing.
Yeah. I bet Vince would love to green stuff you.
Yeah,
Sam
he looks like
Wilson.
he's loving this conversation and would love to participate in more.
I mean-
Oh yeah, and like Toad would also be really easy to make Hulk posing.
Yo.
I mean,
Anyway,
I'm open for commissions, Alex.
all right, we'll talk. I'm gonna I need you to Hulk pose all my Kingdom Death models. Anyway, is there anything else people want to say about Cosmic, the Ghost Rider? Because otherwise, we can move on to everyone's favorite segment. Okay, cool.
All right,
we're
guys,
moving on
welcome to
everyone's
Back of the Box.
That's right.
All right, as
don't
per
mean
his
back of
tradition,
comma the box.
Alex, explain the rules of Back of the Box to the
Yeah,
audience.
so this is everyone's favorite game show, but in case this is your first episode, or you forgot how it works, or we never explained it on the other episodes you listened, Pat is participating in a trivia show where he's trying to figure out what Marvel Crisis Protocol box we're talking about. So Vince is going to read him the text from the back of the box of a Marvel Crisis Protocol release, which you'll note usually has like 2 models in it, and usually has 2 paragraphs, one for each model. So Vince is going to read the first paragraph, and if Pat can guess what the box is right then, which says both of the by saying both of the characters, if there are 2, then he gets 3 points. If he needs the second paragraph, he gets 2 points. And if he's still not getting it then, he can throw it to me, where he will have to answer a question about professional Valorant, a trivia question. The catch here is that Vince has blacked out most of the nouns and verbs of the blurbs from the back of the box. So it'll be, instead of being Ant-Man, a courageous little guy, it'll be blank blank, a courageous blank guy. Something like that. So that's how it works. I'm keeping score too. Pat needs 6 points to win. And what, is that too easy? I
No,
never know whether...
Alex, you're killing it. I'm just doing such a good job. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad we changed to you explaining.
I kind of want bots to write paragraph summaries of Marvel characters based on that Ant-Man snippet he just provided.
That's what we'll do when we run out.
Yeah,
Well, I
I'm
already
excited.
got
We
lots
only
of-
have like 30 models left.
I already got a lot to say about the Vanisher, so I can start writing that one right now. So should we do 6 points or 7 points to win with a 9-point total? I never, because it
You already
feels
said
like
6 points.
I said 6 points. It feels like 7 points. 7 points is probably fair, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
a giant gulf between 6 points and 7 points.
I know, right? It's like what are we supposed to do? We're gonna go with 7 points. Pat's having it too easy for too long. So, Vince, why don't you start us off with the first one?
Blank is a man whose past is shrouded in mystery. His blank power of blank blank not only protects him from harm, but has dramatically increased his lifespan. It also makes him the ideal subject for the blank, which bonded blank to his blank and blank, while robbing him of his memory. As a member of the blank, blank is a gruff, vicious member of the team who often clashes with the team's leader, blank.
Damn, they fucking repeated the word member twice in the same sentence. Get it together, AMG. It's lazy writing.
This is why I want you to write them.
Yeah, I would never do that. I'll fuck it up in much funnier ways.
This is a bad start. This is one of those ones where a model entered my head almost immediately for no good reason. And then it's the only thing I thought about. And I just kept going like, does this sentence work with Mysterio? No, not really. But it's still in my head.
It just entered because the first sentence said mysterious. And you were like, that's Mysterio, baby. He's Mr. Mystery.
Well, I think it was that plus something in the second sentence where he, I don't know, bound by mystical magic of mystery or something.
Okay.
Let's do the second paragraph so I can lose.
Second paragraph. Here we go. The blank blank, called blank by many, is a blank assassin and mercenary. His blank abilities granted him an enhanced blank, keen senses, and razor-sharp claws as he uses razor-sharp claws he uses to savage his foes. He is a longtime enemy of blank. Their pasts intertwine through decades of conflict, and blank acts as a dark mirror of blank's suppressed savage instincts.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know what that one was, but I
I
can't
don't
remember
feel
who they're with.
great about this. Partially because I can't figure out which version. So I think the second one is a saber's tooth, but I'm not sure which one. And I don't know what box the original one is in. Is it two? Well.
Pat's looking back at his collection.
I'm looking back at my shelf. I put too many of them away. I can't just see the boxes anymore. I think this is. I'm gonna go with this being the expensive Logan and Sabretooth box.
Final answer, Pat?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, this is not the Rivals panel box because it
Okay.
makes no mention of the Rivals panel.
I've read the back of non-rival panel boxes.
Well, you've had all of them read to you, so.
I mean, that was last year. Anything could have happened, and I would not remember.
All right, so does that mean we move on to Valorant trivia to see if he can...
Sure, yeah.
Oh, no, sorry.
No,
he said...
yeah. I want Valorant trivia, though. It's fun.
All right,
Yeah,
fine.
give us some Valorant trivia.
Okay, so Pat,
Alexander.
there have been 3 Champions tournaments so far, and there have been no teams that have appeared in more than one Champions final. Okay?
Oh
So
boy! All right.
name the 6 unique teams that have appeared at a Champions final.
It seems so much harder than my question.
It is.
This is
Well, he's-
harder.
yeah.
But he's also more knowledgeable here, so.
I don't even remember
Yeah.
who won 2022. I do. Okay. So Ascend, Loud, and EG.
You've named the winners, yes. So now you have to... Who were the runners-up for those
Yeah.
3 tournaments?
Who lost this last year? It wasn't particularly interesting. Was it Fnatic? No. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't know. Fnatic.
You don't know? Okay. 2021 was...
Navi?
No, it was not Navi.
Okay, it's
2021,
the only
Ascend
first
beat
team, yeah.
Gambit. 2022, Loud beat Optic. 2023, EG beat PRX.
Oh, it was PRX. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only one I feel slightly bad for not knowing. The other
Yeah,
two,
shameful.
I probably could have guessed Gambit, but
All right.
Oh.
See, this is why 7 points is rough. He now cannot win.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like, Loud Optic, I feel like you should have remembered.
I'm very bad at most of the
He doesn't.
finals
He doesn't
games
think.
are-
He doesn't think about the fucking losers. All right.
Yeah, but
He's
that was
only
the end
interested
of
in the
Optic.
winners.
Whatever,
Yeah.
you got the 3 winners. I couldn't name
No, I
the
yeah, I
last
could
3
not.
winners of anything that I care about.
Most of the finals are not good
Wait,
games.
wait, that's
part of
not
the problem.
true.
Name the last 3 winners of LVO.
Okay, I don't know the name of this year's winner, so that's going to be tough. Guardians of the Galaxy player who Used to be like a competitive Warhammer player.
War Machine.
He was a War Machine guy?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can picture him. I think he's blonde.
I can picture him too because I listened to his interview. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Then
won
there's me, and then there's
War Machine at
DeLuca.
LVO like 5 times, I think.
I was trying to give you a layup for you just to name you three because you were the most recent winners of an LVO tournament. But yeah.
Oh, that would have been great. Oh, God, I'm so bad at goofs. All right. The answer to that question was Wolverine, the Logan, and Sabretooth.
What?
Yep.
No, it's Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Yeah, it's Wolverine. Oh, Wolverine, the Logan.
All right, I was
Right.
half right.
That's the earlier.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have a dumb goof I've been doing forever, but Alex recently has decided that it's funny,
Yeah.
which is when somebody goes Logan, I go the Wolverine.
I mean, that's a fun goof, and I have adopted it as well, but it's very confusing for what we're doing right now.
It is Wolverine, the Logan. Totally different character.
Yeah. Well, that's what Alex has started doing. Has been.
Man, I
you
really
mean
thought
Wolverine,
the second
the
blurb
Logan?
was. I really thought the second blurb was Craven, but
Oh, the second one sounded very Apexy to me. I don't
I mean,
know why.
he's the same character.
Sergei
I know.
Nikolavich Kravinoff. He's Kravinoff, baby.
They're craving each other off.
All right.
I think if I knew the first box was also a Logan and a Sabretooth, I would have figured it out. But I couldn't come up with the box.
they're always paired together. They're dark. They're twin
dark,
flames.
yeah.
They're dark partners. Whatever.
Oh boy,
Cool.
I really wish I didn't know that reference.
All right, Vince. What's number 2?
Okay. With only a blank of blank, and enough self-confidence to rival anyone, Blank has proven himself to truly be one of Earth's mightiest heroes. An expert blank, Blank puts his talents to good use as the hero Blank. Opinionated and possessing a reputation for finding trouble, he remains a strong team player and has both been part of and leader of a number of different teams over his storied career.
Yeah,
Good fucking
this
luck.
game sucks. You left a phrase that I know, and I don't know why I know. I don't know who the Earth's mightiest heroes are, except presumably they include this band. Everything else was incredibly generic.
Sure was.
That
Yeah.
part's true.
So it could. I don't know. Keep going.
Keep going. Second one.
Yeah.
Nate, do you have this? Do you know this?
I have a guess. It's
Okay,
rough.
cool.
I'm mostly laughing at Pat being mystified at Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I really want to Google it now, but I can't.
We went back and forth on whether or not we were going
Yeah.
to black it out. I can't
Yeah.
wait to tell him.
Did
I'm
you-
so
There
excited.
was an event called Earth's Mightiest Heroes or something, right?
Trusted by some and feared by most, Blank strives to make up for the bad she has done in the past by helping the world, even if it means getting her hands dirty in the process. Trained by the infamous Blank, Blank has put in her incredible skills to use as a formidable Blank and is one of the most respected Blank. Were you right, Nate?
Yes. But mostly just lucky.
Is this all right? I'm trying to think of boxes of generic dude and trained woman, and I'm gonna go with Hawkeye and 3-Point Widow, or I'm not gonna say Johnny's name for 3-Point Widow.
Final answer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. This is
Hey.
Hawkeye and 3-Point Widow. And
Also,
Johnny's name for 3-Point Widow is actually for 4-Point Widow.
Oh,
Yes.
see, this is why I didn't say it because I knew that.
Okay, you don't know why you know Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Do you know now?
No, I still don't.
did
What
you
is
buy the new core box?
Oh, is that what it's called? I did.
I mean, it's on there, but it's
I was looking at that page when I spent 45 minutes assembling my fucking Ultron drones the other day, so that's probably why.
Pat. It's the Avengers. The Avengers are Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I see. That doesn't say heroes.
No,
Earth's
because it's a
Mightiest
How
play.
would I
Like,
know the Avengers are heroes?
That's a great question.
You're just being like, Earth's Mightiest, that's something. There's something there.
There is something there.
I'm glad.
I think it's also the leadership of. Isn't that what like the leadership of New Cap is called?
I don't. Maybe let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out indeed.
It is. Yes.
Hey, look at Vince knows trivia or something.
Hey, I have a question about all new, all different.
Yeah.
Speaking of Avengers leaderships, what didn't they say all new, all different in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, indicating that there would be more Avengers, and like 80 years later, there's no more Avengers? When are they doing more Avengers?
That's I'd love to unpack that, but instead I'm going to send you a 45-minute video essay that does.
Oh man, I don't want that.
The simpler version of this is that all new, all different was actually a soft reboot in the comics. Right. And so there's a whole bunch of comics that say all new, all different on the front of them, where it wasn't like a full timeline reset the way that DC likes to do full timeline resets, but it was definitely meant to be like a new jumping on point. And so there's like, the example comes to mind is like, there's all new, all different Wolverine comic that's about Laura X-23, but being Wolverine. Right. And so a bunch of those, like having a new hero take up an existing mantle happened during this all new, all different era, along with some like I said, new number ones of different runs. And so I don't remember the MCU thing you're talking about, but it wouldn't surprise me. Like that was a very successful comics initiative. And so it wouldn't surprise me if the MCU would also want to do kind of something similar as we approached and got past Endgame and need something new to get people to see movies again.
Yeah, I mean, I might be making that up, but I thought they say that in the movie. I remember that, which might be fraudulent, and I remember when Captain America looks like Joe Biden, and he's like, "No, I don't think I will," but I don't remember what that's in response to anymore.
What a weird way to say old man.
He looks like Joe Biden. He doesn't just look like an old man. He looks like Joe Biden.
Yeah. Incredible.
All right. Alexander Bartholomew Box.
Yeah.
How many points does Pat have?
You got that in the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have 2 points.
Good job. You're killing it. Knew it off the top of your head. I like that about you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, here we go. Round 3. Blank is a blank, mastermind, and single most feared, dangerous, and powerful blank in blank. From humble beginnings as a poor blank, blank used his genius intellect, physical strength, and sheer ruthlessness to remove all rivals and become the unseen ruler of all blank in the blank.
I'm calling my shot. This is Kingpin.
Final answer?
Yes.
You got it. This is Kingpin.
Damn. Huge recovery. 5 points. Still lose.
Yep. Also, there's no second model.
It's a bonus point. You get to 6. Still lose.
Killing it.
Hooray! All right, nice. I don't have to come up with more trivia. Well, I have to come up with one more for next time, but only one more. I still have 2 in the bag.
Uh-oh.
All right. Next topic. Great job, Pat. You really entertained us all. I loved it.
Yeah, same.
Apparently there were new X-Men models. So let's throw to our resident X-Men player who, like all X-Men players, is very sad about these releases despite them being quite well designed and interesting.
Nah, they all suck. We can probably just skip this segment.
You're right. All right. That's it, guys.
We have been...
Good night, everybody.
Size 3 taco truck.
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 new models coming out, 5 of which are X-Men, which is pretty exciting.
You don't think Shadow King is going to be an X-Man?
I mean, he's not in Timelines, and I'm assuming that the Timelines affiliation document will match regular gameplay, because so far that's been true.
It really doesn't know what to do with Cassandra Nova, but
They figured it out eventually, but yeah. Anything could happen, but based on the information that we have, I don't think Shadow King would be an X-Men. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for that anyway, so unfortunately, I don't get to play the coolest model in the release. I don't know. Where do you want to start with it? I mean,
let's talk about the super cool leader you guys just got and how it's still not Storm.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Professor X. Do you like Steve 1? Are you a fan of playing Steve 1 teams? Because, like, he's this is very reductive, but he's kind of just Steve 1 again. where his leadership lets you do some pretty unique and cool shenanigans with superpowers, but I think it's less good and less shenanigans than what Steve 1 can allow. I think reducing cost is better than what he's doing of quote unquote passing power around. And I also
don't
think,
agree with you, but it's okay.
Well, I also think I think that one's kind of close, right? The other difference to me is that Steve 1 is once per turn per character, right? It's the first superpower used by a character, whereas Xavier's is once per turn. So there's defensive shenanigans you can do with Steve, where you're like paying 1 for a cable shield and paying 1 to add, to count blanks or whatever, right? You can like stack a bunch of cheap defensive triggers, whereas Xavier's is just once per turn. You do a superpower, you pass the power, right? So there's like diminishing returns on going totally ham hocks with it, which is fine, right? Like I understand that's a balancing point, and that's not really a complaint. That's why I think Steve 1 lets you get up to more shenanigans.
I agree that there's more shenanigans, and also because of Steve 1 is like undisputably better on turn 1.
Yes.
Because just like reducing 2-cost superpowers that aren't supposed to be used on turn 1 to cost 1 superpowers is a big deal. Xavier's is like just different. Like, so it works on X-cost superpowers. It works on 1-cost superpowers. When you having an actual power versus a discount, that power is better. It can be used on other things. You can like get a power to use on a spender.
Yeah.
Not just like another superpower. And it can push power in a specific direction. Like every single character that uses a superpower that would otherwise be discarded can take that extra power and put it on the same model.
Sure.
Right? Like you could fund CGR this way if you really wanted to.
You sure could.
But the thing you're probably going to do is put as much of it back on Professor X for Professor's Guidance, which is a once per turn Shuri bubble.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the leadership, like I said at the start, right, that I'm being overly reductive comparing it to Steve 1, but I think like in play, it ends up being kind of like similar to that, or it's like a Steve 1 that needs someone to kickstart the engine the way that like Magneto needs someone to kickstart his throw train of passing power around, right? And so I think there's cool stuff you can do with that. I think it pushes that list into a more scenario-focused direction, the same way that Steve 1 usually ends up in a scenario-focused direction, which is fine. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. I like the leadership. I'm not as excited about it as a lot of people seem to be, but I don't have any complaints about it, right? Like it's cool, it's new, it's doing something different. It's objectively powerful. Like I don't think there's any question whether or not the leadership's good. The leadership is good. Full stop.
The question is more about whether Professor X is good.
Yes. So this is where so I saw this at first and I was like, man, this is a leadership based around doing shenanigans and cool combinations, right? And since I'm not allowed to have original ideas or thought, I was like, I'm going to let other people figure out what a Professor X list actually looks like and then decide if I'm interested. Right. So kind of right at the start, I knew I wasn't going to be spending time doing science on Professor X and we'll let other people figure that out. But then also him as a body, I'm not at all excited about. He has interesting attacks, right? The builder is fine. Wild Root is cool. It's sometimes useful and sometimes isn't. Like there's some models that hate being rooted and there's some models that like or don't care about being rooted. But also sometimes the models who hate root, you're going to spike a bunch of damage on them with this attack and then they'll be fine. Right. So, and like when you really want it, you're fishing for a wild on just 5 dice. And also I think an important note about Professor X is he can't use rerolls on himself, which means he can't trigger his own leadership. Which you can't like fish for this wild. You just have to get it on your 5 dice. Mental suggestion.
Which is annoying, but on the other hand, Professor's Guidance can mean that you can just take models that don't synergize with him and always trigger it.
Yes. The nature of being once per turn means that other models don't necessarily have to. Like with Steve 1, you want all of your models using the leadership as much as possible. right? Like you want to overload on characters that have both actives and reactives that they can get going. With Professor X, you have more flexibility in roster building because of how good Professor's Guidance is getting, you still want to use the leadership every turn, but it's only once a turn, which means it's easier to make sure you're getting value from your leadership every activation. So I like Professor's Guidance. It's, rerolls are good. Attack and defense, good, great. Big bubble, sure, whatever, It's a Shuri bubble. I think Astral Duel is okay. There's times it'll be useful. There's times it'll be just a 7 pile. Like, even against an average model, right? Getting 7 Mystic Dices and they can't reroll or modify is a perfectly good use of 3 power, right? It's not an expensive spender. 7 Mystic is a reasonable place to start. It's a good way to beat up Miles or Amazing, right? You just can dunk on those fools. So, sure, cool, good, great. Mental Suggestion is good. It sucks that it requires damage. Doing damage on 6 dice is likely, so you're likely to move things with it, but it is noticeably worse than, the previous version we saw of this was Cassandra, which is the exact same attack, except always moves them instead of requiring damage. But he's also a threat less, so whatever, fine. Right? Like, you will find things to do with these attacks, right? I don't have a problem with any of them. None of them get me super excited, but they're all useful and are all doing good things. My biggest problem with this guy is he is the Enchantress stat line. All right. I guess technically slightly better because she's 225 instead of 226, but the 11 health, def 2, if they can pay 2 power, means he can get explodified very quickly. Right.
And also, no gimmick to get around throws.
Right. Yeah. It has the same problem as
sucks.
Enchantress, where throws just go straight at their def 2, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
That's the actual problem, is that, like, you can just, if you just throw stuff at Professor X, like Magneto is stunts on this guy. He does not care at all. He's like, here you go, Xavier, and he's like struggling to stop the one bullet. And meanwhile, a car just like breaks his neck.
Also, that matchup is like one of the most lopsided model v model matchups because like none of Professor attacks do anything to fucking Magneto.
Correct.
He is def 6 on all of them and can spend to not be. Oh no, he can still be advanced. That's lame. They should fix that. Regardless.
Also, root hurts Magneto, but
yeah, it's not ideal for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I just think a lot of anybody with good throws will dunk on this guy. And I think there's a lot of models out there. Like, I think Rhino terrorizes Professor X because it's not like Rhino is a model who usually has a bunch of power, right? And then has a size 4 terrain throw. So, like, can often pay to reduce, hit this dude with 7 dice into his 2, probably make enough power to throw or keep the train going, and also is very capable at getting to Professor X, right? Like, Professor X is not going to be at the front, but he can't be all the way in the back, right? Like, on a D, I probably wouldn't play him on a D, but like, he had on like D shapes, if he's sitting on the back point, he's not attacking, right? He's like barely keeping some people in the bubble, and that's kind of it. On something like Infinity Formula, he's obviously going to stay on the home point, but like a Rhino or a Logan or whoever, like there's a bunch of good diving models that can just find this dude and end his life.
Yeah.
The 5 health at the back is just so brutal.
Yeah, and also like part of my worry about his squishiness is he doesn't punish you. Like if he gets flooded on power, he doesn't really spend it in exciting ways. Right? Like, if you picture, it's like, oh, well, sure, you killed my Professor X, but now he's going to wake up with 10 power. Cool. Like, it's just not a very exciting turn, right? And in a lot of situations, he's probably just best off using his 2 1-cost spenders.
I don't think I agree with that. I think having him loaded with Professor's Guidance, like, you wouldn't say the same thing about Invincible Iron Man, right? Like,
I think Invincible has more exciting attacks.
He does not. He has a 7 dice 3-cost spender, and he has the reroll bubble.
I mean, one of those.
I mean, his spender
people,
is like
so.
slightly more exciting, but
Yeah.
like he doesn't have the mental suggestion.
Okay, I guess I would say the same thing about Iron Man then, that I'm not. He doesn't scale up with power in quite the same way, and also like
I think the reroll bubble means that you scale up with power. It's just like it's not you personally.
So the difference to me is if Iron Man gets dove and blown up, right? you can activate someone else, have a good activation, and have a shit ton of rerolls on that, right? Because it's unlikely that Iron Man gets one-rounded when he flips, right? He still has damage reduction, he still has 6 health, he still has good defensive stat lines.
Yes.
With Professor X, if you don't activate with him first, he could just explode, like, he'd just be removed from the table.
That's true.
Right. And you lose his whole activation, which having 6 rerolls on another character doesn't feel worth that trait. You know what I mean?
Like, it's also not 6 rerolls, it's 3.
Oh, right. Once per turn. So it's 3 rerolls. Yeah. That really doesn't feel.
Whereas the other Iron Man, I guess that's maybe the better argument, is that like 6 rerolls on a character versus 3 rerolls on a character is like kind of different. You have to kind of pick your shot.
Yeah. But it's mostly just like you're not immediately giving up Iron Man's activation if you don't start with him. But I think in most of the situations, if you don't start with Professor X, you are losing his activation. So I'm just, that's a lot that's just a bunch of stuff I'm not interested in, right? He might still be good. I probably is still good, right? I know like Valkovitz is playing a shit ton of games with him and finding cool stuff to do, right? This isn't really so much a power level thing, just as like, I am personally not interested in his shenanigans and his actual kit.
So I'm kind of on the other side of the fence. I think his
he
kit
loves shenanigans.
I think his kit and his shenanigans are super cool. I think the model doesn't seem strong.
Yeah.
But I think the model seems fun as shit to play. Like, I think I think mental suggestion, like, yes, it sucks that it has to deal damage. It sucks that it's range 3 and that it's only 6 dice. But I think, like, that's a super cool attack. I think putting Wild Root on a builder, which also Shadow King has, I believe. I don't think we ever ended up talking about Shadow King. But
he's in this release wave.
Yeah. I just think it's really... I think it's a cool effect that I think I would like to see more in the game.
I mean, you're the dude who's been trying to make a fucking power drain denial list work forever. So, of course, the guy with Wild Root, and you have to pay power to attack him, would fit in. Like, Loki, really good at it. Like, cool. Loki with Professor X is great. So, like, yeah, that list exists. I'm just not interested. Like I said this whole time, right? It's like it's a personal playstyle thing for me. I'm not interested in these shenanigans, but I'm sure other people will be.
Yeah. I think... With everything being said, though, still my number one problem is, man, the healthy art sucks. Why is it just pasted onto the blanket? Yuck.
Yeah, I mean, I like the more brightly colored comic wiki art they've been going with since the new core, but a bunch of it has looked worse.
You guys are talking about... Sorry, listeners, I just got back. I stepped away for a second. You're talking about Xavier's art.
Vince's number one complaint with this model is Xavier's healthy side art.
I don't think his entrance side art looks any better.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it does.
2% better. It's slightly better.
The first one is just... He's just pasted on top of those blankets.
Okay, that's...
The second one is at least
did
under
an experiment
them.
And confirmed that's just how people look when they're sitting in a chair with blankets over their legs.
They look... There's no way... You sent me a photo of you looking like that.
Did you miss this? Blankets. He did that in Discord. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I took a photo of myself in exactly
I think you looked like picture 2, not picture 1.
Okay. Well, picture 2, the dude looks like... God, why do I always hesitate when I make these stupid fucking references. The dude, his face looks like the cutoff from the Thompson Center in Chicago, the Helmut John architectural project that just like chops off at the end of the sidewalk. Yeah, nobody gives a shit. But it looks bad is the point. His face looks insane. It looks like the right side of his face was like somebody went to it with a sawzall or something. Oh yeah, good. You found the picture of me doing Xavier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody join our Discord if you're not in it, so you can see a picture of me in my computer chair doing Charles Xavier.
Yeah. So Vince's problem about the Professor X art on the healthy side is like you can see his orange blanket like wrap around behind his torso in a way that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I see.
I actually don't have a big problem with like the harsh lines. Like Professor X has looked like this in the comics and in the TV show. The blanket wrapping around, that's just I think that's just lazy.
There's also something about his face and the two poses that he's doing where he also kind of looks like that meme of Prince where it's like, you can always blank. It's always morally correct. Like he just does these two, taking both pictures from the card together makes it look like,
Oh wow, yeah.
I don't know. It's just the poses are weird. It's a weird looking card. Anyway,
Yeah. So let's
for that
talk
reason,
about-
no one should play him.
I'm going to bounce to a character I'm excited about. I've decided to alternate between things I'm excited about and things I'm not excited about. Because that's a sane way to approach this. Fucking Nightcrawler rules.
Yeah, Nightcrawler's really good.
I kept thinking he was broken, and then I kept remembering he was a 4th threat.
Yeah, I do. I think he's well designed in a couple of cool ways, right? And that, like, obviously they captured the theme of being able to just be fucking anywhere really well, right? Like this model is just incredibly mobile and can be anywhere at any time. I do think they did a good job balancing him. Question mark. He has two really standout things that are powerful, right? The automatic stun is incredible, right? Just being able to guarantee you put stun on someone, especially with how fast he is great. And if anybody tries to keep CGR alive, my Nightcrawler turn 1 will find him and stun him, and then his power roll will suck, and his turn 2 will suck, and I will be happy. So it's very nice just to be able to do that. Is it too good? I don't know. I don't think so. The Canadians seem to think so. Vince, did you want to...
The Canadians are too alarmist about everything. I have issue with how the haha trigger is written. I don't understand
who cares?
why it's...
It doesn't matter.
I think it does matter. Why? It's a brand new timing step that
It's
is
not.
unclear.
Well, it's not new because it's in the Blob and Pyro box.
This timing step has never existed where you did not have to do damage.
Okay.
So it is unclear to me if you have to do damage.
You do not.
Okay. I still want the forum to say that.
Okay.
Does-
Whether or
will.
not you skip
before
after
damage is dealt.
dealt.
Sorry, go ahead.
The question is after the damage is dealt step happen if no damage is dealt? So after damage is dealt, do you do that if no damage was dealt?
Yes.
Is the question. And like I think that Nate is right. I think you do this, but why can't this just be after the attack is resolved? There's no reason why it can't be like that.
I mean, yeah, I guess there isn't a reason, is there?
No, there's no reason.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. No, there's a reason, right?
Because they're scared you might play the character wrong.
Well, okay. So whether or not you think this is a good reason, we can debate, right? But like what it does is it puts it in a separate timing step from his puff of smoke where he moves next to you, which means that like
No, they're the same timing step.
They
Puff
are
of
not.
Smoke is what? But it says
What?
after damage is dealt. They both say after.
oh, it
damage
is after
dealt.
you tell. I thought it was very different. Okay, never mind. I just didn't read puff of smoke well. Ignore me.
So just to be clear, before damage is dealt happens if there's no damage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't know, so you do it before.
Well,
No.
don't you do know by then whether damage will be
So
dealt?
yes, right. If you look at the timing step, right, there's step 10 is you calculate successes or failures. Step 11, resolve effects before damage. Step 12
Yeah.
is apply damage. Step 13 is attack resolved, right? And
Okay.
like Marvel rules wording totally lets you say after or before X timing step, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess I would say that it. I mean, it seems reasonable to me to say that it happens if there's going to
Yeah.
be no damage dealt, even if before damage still happens when there's no damage being dealt. I
Yeah,
guess.
you go through all 14 steps, no matter what, unless something like Eye in the Sky or a Trickster fucks up the timing chart. But you go through every step. It's listed as a step there. The only reason you would skip it is if you're applying rules from other games to this one and assuming it works the same way.
Wait, so Damn, I think I've been playing fallback wrong then. So you can fall back even if you're not going to take damage.
Yeah.
Yes.
For some reason, wow.
Wait,
okay.
what?
Well, I've just been playing that wrong. For a long time ago, I think someone told me that you cannot play fallback if you will not
You
suffer
sure you're not
damage.
confusing it with Slippery from Toad?
No. I know that Slippery specifically says if suffered damage. But I thought, for some reason, I thought that fallbacks... no, sorry. I didn't think that fallbacks said anything different. I understand the literal words on the card, but I swear somebody led me to believe that you cannot fall back on an attack that will not deal damage. But
I'm
have
sure
the same
people have gotten
belief.
that wrong, but
Yeah.
they're wrong. You can fall back any attack.
okay.
I just I don't understand why that doesn't say after the attack is resolved. I don't know why they changed it, and I think it while if you have a deep understanding of the rules the way that we do, I think this can very easily accidentally be read as if damage.
I agree it could be read that way, and I agree that this wording is less clear. It makes me wonder if they're experimenting with a template that requires less words on the card. Right, that is the one benefit of this, is it takes up significantly less room on the card, which is a concern.
And we're going to move towards this? Okay.
Yeah. That's just a guess, right? Obviously, I don't know shit about shit, but that's the one thing it does do is it takes up way less space. And
I mean, that's the best argument I've heard for it. I definitely think if every after the attack is resolved, switch to after damage logo is dealt. You're compressing a significant amount of space, allowing them to put more rules on the card. Yeah, I could get behind that if that's the reasoning.
hooray! Can we talk about the character now?
Yeah, he sucks.
Wait, do you actually think he sucks?
No, I actually think he's good. Okay. He is not good for the reason that anybody that is excited about him, is excited. A lot of people are just oh my god, I'm gonna brimstone blitz you to death. I'm gonna roll 1,200 dice and I'm gonna hit the blitz and then hit the flurry of blows and then hit the flurry of the blows and then hit it again and again and again and again. Your model's gonna cease to exist, and that's fucking terrible. The character just makes builders and can be anywhere and always stuns.
So, I think you're underselling the spender, but I understand you're fucking trying to shift the Overton window on the discourse here.
Yeah.
Because, the spender is not as good as everybody said. The crazy situations definitely are more rare than people think. And he can definitely, this is recency bias in the other direction, but my last game I played in the Spider Foes, I think he got to spender 4 times, starting at 7 dice on all of them, and didn't roll a crit in any of them. And that'll just happen. Sometimes it's just he does 7 dice, right? The upside of that is that it doesn't really cost him a lot to try, right? He doesn't super need a ton of power, and paying 1 power for a 7 dice physical attack is not the worst thing to be doing. So that's why you're talking about you should only builder. I don't think that's true. I think there's times where it's just I'll pay 1 power to have 2 extra dice here, and then if it goes off, hooray, right? Because he only otherwise needs power to teleport himself around, which if he's in the fight already, the use of BAMF, right, his place 1 to 3 goes down if he's already engaged where he wants to be engaged, and then you just need power for defense dice.
Just for clarity, he has to pay every time for the trigger, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to keep in mind too when you're entering the, spinning the dice. You want to have a couple power backup if you do hit it.
Yeah, you can only do it infinitely if you're in Cabal.
Yep.
Okay. I think the point about it only costing 1 is interesting to me, because that came up in my exactly 1 game of Nightcrawler experience, where my opponent was trying to save his power for the model he wanted to spender, but I had sacrifice, so he couldn't, and he could have easily just done it every time, and had the power, because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that usually you want to BAMF and you want to use a teleporting strike so that you can get it up to
7.
You can get it up to 7.
Yep.
Sure.
For the first one.
Or
and
you play him in Storm and you can get it up to 8.
Yeah.
Broken. It's over.
And then it goes up each and every time.
Midnight Suns.
Or Midnight Suns, yeah.
Yeah, Midnight Suns would also do it.
But yeah, on 7 dice, it's 55%, right? So in that self-contained ideal situation, it's a coin flip whether or not he gets the first one, and then scales up from there. And like gets kind of reliable kind of quickly in a goofy way, but it's still like 55% to enter the fun zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like 60% to stay in the fun zone, and then you're 70% to stay in the fun zone, and then you're like 75% to stay in the fun zone, and then you're 77% to stay in the fun zone. Like, it's not like that likely to do the thing. And then the other thing about it is that it always has to target the same character. So it only like its ceiling is that like it kills your Hulk.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's not
Which
gonna
would be
like
funny.
it's not gonna Pac-Man through your whole team.
No.
Yeah,
And I
there's not
think-
that many models you have to hit 5 times with 7 or more dice before they die. Like, it's possible, but
And especially if you're rolling a hitting a
hitting
crit
a
every
crit,
single
yeah.
time.
I mean, I think this attack, why I think he's really coolly designed, right, is like I think he needs this to be a good 4 threat, right? Because like, so my bar that I've talked about before, like 4 threats and 5 threats, right, is that they need to do something more than just attack twice for me to feel good about them, right? They need to have a terrain throw or a bow or some other bit of utility besides just making 2 roughly 6 die attacks, right? Not good enough. And he only has this, right? And this Yahtzee is his ability to do more than just make a 5 die and a 7 die, right? If he could only just do those 2 things, he would be not good, right? I would rather just spend get something cheaper that can do similar damage or get something with more utility, because he just otherwise is fast and is like technically sort of durable, but sort of isn't. Right, he has a bunch of interesting conditional durability where like he can pick up stealth, which helps him out a lot, especially if you're using him to like grab stuff near the middle of the board. Right, there's a lot of times where he can be like a sort of Toad-ish safe grab, where he can just walk, grab a thing with first class, and then teleport back. And if that gets him near terrain, then that turns on stealth, and that gives him stealth, and also that hop is distance enough that models like Rhino or Logan can't walk and still be within 3. Right, the place one back gets him out of those things that can commonly hit people who grabbed a midline thing. So like he's a sort of technically safe grab, which is cool, but he just otherwise he's just swinging his swords around, right? Like most of the turns of the game, he just gets to bop people with swords. And so I think the Spender is a cool way to let him scale up some of the time without making him just like a busted ass model.
You say hit him with swords. They didn't give him his cool rapier thing. Falchion or whatever.
Yeah, he's got it.
He does?
Yeah. He has alternate hands.
Oh, he has it in... Oh, yeah, he does in his injured art.
Yes,
Right.
he has an injured art, and then the kit he comes with sword hands and regular hands.
Oh, cool. Okay. Never mind. It's okay.
Crisis averted.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, I don't know. He seems really cool. I don't know. My list feels very tight. Otherwise, I would be thinking about playing him in Brotherhood too. But, and if he was affiliated, I would definitely be thinking about it. But
I'm not convinced he's going to see much play as a splash model anywhere. I wouldn't be totally shocked if it happened, but I don't think he's so crazy of a forward that anybody's going to be splashing him outside of affiliation. And like, I still think Logan's the best 4 threat in X-Men, right? Like if I'm picking one, I'm going to pick Logan, but he's a very nice alternative to Logan that I'm very happy to have.
yeah, right. Are you gonna play Mass Transit?
I'm not planning on it.
It's 'cause the card's bad.
I think it's bad. I guess I'm willing to be wrong on that one because it's just so different, right? Like it's a new approach to what you can do early turns. But
What are you talking about? Like, okay, this no, I refuse. I refuse to entertain that this card could ever be good. Okay, this card costs Nightcrawler 3 power and an action.
Maybe.
So you. What do you mean maybe?
Have you not
That's
heard the
what
really
it's-
dumb rules argument about this?
No, I have not
excited.
heard the really
Okay.
dumb rules.
So it doesn't say it has to be played during his activation.
Jesus H. Christ.
So
Wait, doesn't it say active action?
Active
does
is
not
your
mean
turn.
that? No, I know that active on its own is your turn, but I thought active action.
we
meant
don't
it had to
know.
be-
Probably does. I feel like it's going to, but we
Yeah, why
don't
wouldn't
know that. So like there's people arguing that's like, no, you go with Wong and you donate power, and then Wong uses an action to play this card.
Ooh.
I don't believe that for a second, but I
don't
wanted
either.
to bring
There's
it up
no
because
way.
it's funny.
But also, like, this entire release has required, like, this entire X-Men release has, like, multiple changes it needs to do to the core rules for these cards to, like, be correct.
I mean, that's everything like post-core box, right? Like they're changing a bunch of their rules templating with the new core and missed a lot. It's fine.
Yeah, that was... No, that's what annoys me about it, is that the core should have been a chance to clean up all of that. And now they just put out the core, and now the rules text that came with it is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
I mean, it sucks.
Okay.
I agree with you, and it sucks, and I don't... You know,
All right,
us
so
complaining about it
assuming
won't
that
change it.
we don't have like some kind of psychopathic ruling on this thing where it's
Yeah.
like, no, actually even though it says Nightcrawler is playing the card, and it doesn't say anywhere that any character other than Nightcrawler is playing the card, the action can be donated by Wong.
Yeah.
like fuck the fuck off.
I agree.
Okay, so Nightcrawler's gonna get 3 power somehow. He's gonna
Yeah.
spend an action on his turn to do it, and then it also fucking staggers him.
Yeah.
And what it does is it places a bunch of characters 3. Mm-hmm. Right? Optimistically, you could play this card turn 2.
You can play it turn 1 with Professor X's leadership without too much trouble.
Also, it places
What?
a bunch of characters more than 3. It places him 3, and then it places them more than that, for sure.
Yeah, so you can be
Yeah,
like
somewhere
range 2
between
in
4 and
front
5.
of people,
Yeah.
go 3, and then they 1 in front of him. Like, it puts your team on the midline.
Okay. I'm incredibly skeptical that you can get this running turn 1 with
Why?
Professor X. Okay. Well, how many cost 1 superpowers are in?
Magic and Cable.
Okay, so Magic and Cable can get it kicked off. So you play Magic, Cable, him, Professor X.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at, that's 17?
16.
No, 16.
Or just one of
Okay.
those in ARD, but yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You can also play Wong and ARD.
True.
Right. But then 2 of those characters had to have activated.
Okay, so just Wong. Wong can do it all on his own.
Yeah, Wong and ARD gets it there.
He doesn't even need ARD.
This card costs
No,
3
because
power
Wong
and
can
2
trigger the
actions.
leadership.
Oh, right.
The
Yeah.
Wong Professor X combo is bad, but also gets you a lot of power turn 1 into goofy places.
So wait, why is that bad then?
Because you're playing 6 threat of models who can't really contribute.
Okay. Anyway.
So this costs 2 actions and 3
Yes.
power
Yeah.
to move characters. Like, dude, there's just no way this card's good.
Just make sure Nightcrawler gets dazed afterwards, then it won't cost the stagger.
Or you can play Children of the Atom and remove the stagger and gain a power for it.
Yo.
Yeah, I just
No, I agree. Like, I'm very skeptical of this card being good, right? But I do... Because mostly isn't even any of the things you said. It's just like, okay, cool. So I jump all these hoops to get my team on the midline. And then what? Is always my
Yeah,
question,
exactly. And
right?
then
I'm just
what?
like, oh boy, Professor X is standing in the middle of the board. This is exciting. Like, what are you doing
Wouldn't it
from
be-
there?
Wouldn't it be like Ultron gets up there and kills Infinity guys?
no.
Malekith.
It's Ultron gets up there and you pass the turn to the shield player that then shoots you off the board.
Well, it's a good thing that you only play against S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, he's not wrong that you do have to stand there and face tank for a turn. And also, like, if I just want to get Ultron in the midline, I can save a bunch of power taxes card and just play Storm and just Storm hop his ass
Yeah.
up there. So, like,
I mean, that's mostly my question about all these new releases is, well, Xavier specifically, but then anything sort of similar to that is that, like, I still don't really get why you wouldn't just play Storm.
oh,
Play
yeah,
Storm's
I guess
leadership, But
that's a thing I've said on Discord a bunch, but didn't say on this podcast and will, that, like, I am extremely confident Storm is still the best leader in X-Men. There's an
Yeah.
argument about, like, battling out for second between Professor X and Cyclops. And I can see kind of that going either way. But I would be blown away if anybody finds a competitive Professor X roster that's better than the best Storm roster. And, like, I'm still ride or die Storm.
yeah.
The
Should we
exciting
move
part
on?
is that somebody might not play Storm, and then you get your win.
Should we move on to the next character that you're not excited about? Because we're alternating, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about Iceman.
Iceman.
Yeah, let's talk about Iceman.
Okay.
I think he's
Coolly
bad.
designed character that is bad.
Yeah, I think he's actively bad in a way I don't think is true of like Professor X. I just don't get it.
Okay.
I mean, he's like a hit and run beam character, which is a combination I like a lot elsewhere, right? Like both Vince and I like Crossbones too, who's a slower model that is a hit and run beam character. But the difference to me there is that his beam is significantly better because it has a whole extra die and pierce, whereas this is just 4 dice. And then also Crossbones can actually live through something, whereas like this guy is like, what if Gwen had 1 more physical defense? Would she be durable then? Would she be able to stand in range 3 of people for an amount of time?
Crossbones has DR at a whole nother hit point.
Yeah.
He has 2 defenses that are less, but like,
Who cares?
yeah.
Yeah.
And like putting slow on people, and then like cold snap is a cool ability.
Yes.
Like people walk up to you, they get slow. If they don't have slow, they take damage. And it's not like at the end of every it's not the end of activation the way that like the poison aura on freaking
Omega Red.
Omega Red. I was like, Red Boy. What's his name? It happens every move action and every attack action. So like it triggers more often, but like the character just doesn't do anything that wins you the game. Like he can't move characters. He doesn't deal much damage. He doesn't steal extracts. Like, what does the character do?
Yeah, I don't fully get that either, right? Because like airlift ice slide is a totally good superpower, but I think it feels worse in X-Men to me than elsewhere because we don't lack for that type of effect. Like Storm and Cyclops and to me my X-Men I'm gonna have some combination of those in every game. I have plenty of like movement shenanigans and a lot of the characters can move themselves that like I haven't figured out. Like the value of airlift just seems lower than it would in other lists. And it's also like harder for him to get airlift going, I think, because if you compare him to Sam, his attacks are shorter range and charge is better than hit and run, right? And so in those situations, I think it's easier for Sam to get the engine going than this guy.
The only exciting stuff that I've seen about Iceman is people figuring out ways that they can intentionally damage themselves with Cold Snap to like trigger absurd Rube Goldberg machine combos. So that doesn't really feel like it's bullish for the character's use if the only thing people are excited about is facing him.
There's maybe something in his team up card with Emma where he gets +1 die on all of his attacks and can use his superpowers any number of times.
Yeah.
Because so specifically that combination in Cyclops might have something going on because Cyclops leadership does love beams, right?
True.
With good beams, it's very easy for you to just give your entire team a power, which is pretty cool. Cyclops also more happy to play Emma than most, right? I think Headmistress is really good in a lot of the stuff Cyclops wants to do, and he likes the additional movement, so it's less of a cost to play her. And then the question is, does 2 5-die beams with 2 hit and runs and 2 airlifts good enough? Probably not, but maybe. Like that's just kind of like the only hope I think this model has of making an X-Man roster.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea. I mean, I know he might be cool in ASM if you're doing the ASM leadership and slowing people because he has more access to slow, like easy slow than anyone else, right?
Yeah, right.
So there might be shenanigans elsewhere, but fucking ASM sucks, so I don't care about that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean and the reason that's okay is because it gives him easy access to change where people are.
Yes.
Right, and
yeah, right.
If Freezing Blast had push short on damage the way that like Sam's does, I would be singing such a different tune about this frickin' character.
Oh, for sure.
Wild if a beam could do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be insane, even at 4 dice. Like it'd be so good. But like the character, he can't move people. He doesn't kill people. He can't make you drop extracts. Like, character sucks.
He's got
Yeah.
kind of good access to stagger for his cost. Because like getting the 3 power is not that hard for him, and 7 dice
Yeah.
looking for a wild is better. Like it's a good spender. Right?
Yeah,
I
if
guess
he didn't auto die to kaijus, I would be like, sure.
that's my biggest knock against the spender. Right? Is that it is Colossus' spender that doesn't stun, which is people like X-Slam, and so having basically the same thing for 1 threat less is good. But yeah, I think too often if he tries to get in range to do it, he'll just die, which means you have to like hit and run it, which means he needs 5 power, which is kind of hard to do. Depends on how many people we get under a beam. So yeah, I don't know, he's just so squishy, man. I just can't get over the 10 health.
Yeah. Yeah. Rip. And then after that, we have
Let's
someone
talk-
else you're excited about?
Yes, that also has 10 health, but is my favorite thing in the whole release.
Yes.
Shadow Man.
Shadow Cat, Kitty Pride.
No, Shadow King. Yes.
Shadow Cat is incredible.
Yeah, she's so good.
Oh my god, this model is a fucking monster. Where the fucking start? All right, long mover in X-Men, a thing we've always
Yeah,
wanted.
it should
It's
be,
great.
should be illegal.
It's fine
really
now
good.
with the like changes to the storm top and things like that. It's totally fine, right? Like I've seen and played games. I was like, oh man, this would have been absurd and is less absurd now. But still happy to have a long mover.
Okay, let me counterpoint that with, dear AMG, why give X-Men nice things? They don't appreciate them. Like, give
I'm
nice things to
appreciating
other
it right
factions.
now. I'm appreciating it so hard. All right. Long mover in X-Men is great, right? She has shockingly good attacks. So her builder is really good. Like the way the math works on her crit thing is that her builder is better than a 5-die builder if you only need to do 1 damage. Right. So in situations where
okay.
you're just trying to like chip points in or want quote unquote guaranteed damage, she's better than a 5-die builder. Right. It doesn't spike as high, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then has a cute place within 1. I don't care about. Like I haven't figured out a good use for the side step on that, but fucking it's whatever. Her
It's also pretty unlikely because
Yes,
it's a wild
exactly.
compared to a 5-die builder. Anyway, sorry.
her gun, the Lockheed gun, is totally fine. It's a gainer, so it gives her something to do when she doesn't want to get close. Right.
Yeah.
If you hit the incinerate, you feel like a boss. If you don't, it's fine. It's there. Right. It's not an exciting gainer, but it's better to have it than not, is kind of my thought process on that. And then she just has fucking Vision's 6 spender, but it costs less than his does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And has a bonus effect of moving her around that I actually understand the point of it. Her spender fucking whips. That 7 dice
Yeah,
with no
the
crits.
spender is really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very different pattern. So like one of the models I've been comparing to her a lot when people like don't understand my love of Kitty is she's kind of like a different flavor of Beast, where like she's just doing value town stuff, right? She's just a very helpful affiliated 3 that you can apply to problems. You can go send her out to grab things or hold points or do things, right? But nothing she has is super flashy, and like kind of the same way Beast doesn't have anything super flashy. But the spender is like pretty close to being flashy, because sometimes it's just like, what if my Beast could sometimes just fucking murder you? It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems good.
And she's got a fucking grappling hook like Black Cat, play 2 to place 2. Cool, great. Why? Yeah.
Yeah, especially on a long mover, like even
Yeah.
more speed. Like,
Yep. Can't be mad about that. I don't use it very often, but fucking free movement's free movement, right? You're going to be silly to complain about that, especially on a model that has stealth and kind of wants to use stealth a lot to live. Being able to like walk, shoot, potentially hop back, or like somebody comes close to you and you can shoot, and hop back, right? Or you'll find uses to have this power. And then she has a cool new defense bubble. So it's a rule that Vince and I have been on the podcast saying is garbage before, where you can pay 2 to add 2 defense dice. Right? Known haters of that. Hers is better and worse than a lot of the other ones. It's shorter range, so you have to be within range 2 of her, where all the other ones I think are range 3. But can be added to dodge rolls, which is new and exciting. And I think
and weird.
relevant. Why is it weird?
Huh? It's just like, it's not that it has like problems in the game or anything. It's just like hard to picture the angles on it when making throws, if that makes sense. Like,
No. What?
so it happens when the collision happens, correct? Not
Yeah.
when the throw occurs.
Yeah.
Right. So like throwing people into her or throwing her near people. I am worried about the people in the world that are going to spend like 12 days trying to like figure out whether they can throw this model outside of Shadowcats.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. Okay.
Right. I don't actually have like a major issue with this. I'm just
No,
saying
I get
that,
you.
like,
Yeah. But being able to boost dodge dice is pretty cool. And then it also has a fun little bonus effect where if the attack pusher throws you, you get to place back one. Now, that effect is like totally good to have, but it is not insane, right? So if you're a small base model and you're standing on like the edge of a point, if you get pushed off the point short, placing one back does not get you back on the point. Right, so like if you're hanging on the back of a point and Gwen impact webbings you, this will not put you back on the point. It will if you're a medium base or larger, so that's cool. But if you're a small base, you have to be like standing on the point directly.
wait, really?
Yeah.
If you're a medium base and I push you short off the point and you come back one, you're back on the point? No way.
I guess I haven't done the math. That's what I was told.
That can't the base size doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, I push you your base size. I get to use your base size when I push you.
You push me the length of a short, right?
Yeah, but your base size determines where that starts. Like, I think Vince is right. I mean, God, this should be something that I should just know off the top of my head.
No,
but,
it moves you instead of move. It's just the difference in the two templates. The thing
I
that
think
is
I
cool
agree
about
with
it
Vince.
is if I push you off a gamma point, you can come back and you're not taking damage because you're
Yes.
within 2 now. That's cool.
That's cool. That came up in
But
our
like,
game.
there's no world where you're on the edge of a point and I push you any distance.
Wait,
And you come back on the point.
Hold on, you're wrong.
oh my God, he's getting up. He's doing this live. Listeners, Nate is left.
I can't
He's
wait
gonna-
for him to come back and be like, "You're wrong." Anyway, let's move on. He's literally got the models on the desk.
Yeah, I told you I was doing it.
Imagine just firing up TTS instead of getting physical.
That's what I was going
models.
to do, but then Nate started doing this. I'm still going to do it on TTS. So I think Vince is right. But
I'm definitely right.
as much as I would love
Just
Vince to be wrong. All right, well, while we're doing this, listeners,
Never mind.
All
This
right.
is right.
what have you guys been playing?
yeah, of
lately?
course
Comment
I'm
below.
right. It's so stupid.
That's what I get for trusting other people instead of thinking for myself.
I think you probably misunderstood something. There's no
Probably.
way somebody on the internet thought they could put that down.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Whatever. She's still sick.
Yeah, Kitty is great. You can find uses for
Yeah.
the return plays. She has stealth. So the thing I do like about her defense bubble, that I haven't figured out quite how good it is, but like they're under the Cyclops leadership, right? A thing I've been spending a bunch of games on and losing a bunch of games with. There's interesting combinations you can do with him plus her plus Cable, right? Who also has a defense boost. Because the thing, well, normally I don't like the superpower. The Cyclops leadership means your characters have more power than they would otherwise. So like the paying 2 power is costing you less than it would in normal circumstances because you have money to burn, right? And man, having multiples of those effects really lets you do interesting things with toggling how survivable you want to be, right? Like I played a game where it was Kitty who can boost defenses, Cable who can boost defenses to other people, Nightcrawler who can boost his own defenses, and Cyclops who can boost his defense to 5 if you're not within 2. And so like every time my model gets attacked, I have like 3 different levers to pull on how much power do I want to spend versus how much durability do I want. Which I think is interesting. Again, I'm not sure if it's good, but it's certainly interesting. And also, it lets Cyclops do the most Vince shit possible. I played my last Juicy League game. I started the turn with Cable, who throws a thing at Sam Wilson. He braces. I shoot him twice within 3 to try to kill him, and I leave him on 1 health. And I was like, well, fuck off, Cable. And Cable teleported away. And he's like, well, I guess I'm going to go with Sam Wilson before Cyclops kills him. I was like, yes, good idea. He's like, I'm going to Spender Cyclops. I was like, cool. I'm going to use Quick Draw to be def 5, and I'm going to have Cable boost it so that I'm def 7. So it's like, okay, he's rolling his 6 attack dice into my 7 dice. He deals 2 damage. I play Xavier's Dream for 2 power. I take no damage from his attack. Cyclops does 2 damage to Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson leaves the table.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
And,
I
like-
think that's more of a story about Xavier's dream.
Well, it's a combination of things, but yes.
But also being like, I'm going to shoot def 3 Cable with my 5 die energy attack, and then Cable or I'm going to shoot def 3 Cyclops with my 5 die energy attack. That's probably going to do damage. And him going, I have 9 def dice. If you don't deal damage, take 2. Is like a world that I think people aren't ready to step into. Like, yes, that cost him 6 power, but also it's hysterical.
Yeah, like, I haven't figured out the relative value of 9 defense dice, but it feels all right. It feels like there's a point where you're rolling enough defense dice that things will happen. And I do think that you need those boosts to make the Xavier's Dream thing as well. Because, like, Xavier's Dream is capped by the number of models I had, right? And, like, in that game, I only had 4 models in play, which means if he does 5 damage, I die. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get to do it. So, like, the shields do help lessen how much you need Xavier's Dream. Like, it makes the whole thing way more reliable. To the point where, like, I think if Cyclops has 2 power and has a Kitty or Cable nearby, it's pretty likely that I will be able to Xavier's Dream and make you take 2 damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the cutest Xavier's Dream interaction I've seen.
I got to kill a model with Xavier's Dream. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. Shadowcat's really good. I really like the list you've been playing. So you've been playing that list into me. I think we've played 2 or 3 games with it.
Yeah.
And I like the list you're playing. I haven't lost to it yet, but I think it's like there's just so many moving parts to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I won 1 game with it, either 1 or 0 games with it. So it has been rough going, which is why I'm not like, this is the new thing, right? But there's like I said, there's just a lot of newness in it, and like I can definitely after every game have found places where it's like, oh, I fucked that up or I fucked that up, right? And so it's going to take a bit more time to see if there's anything there, or if I just fucking give up and go back to Storm and love my life again. We'll see. But it's cool, it's exciting, and it's something very different, right? There's rolling 7 to 9 defense dice multiple times a game is not something I've seen elsewhere. Is that good enough? I don't know, but it's new, so that's cool. And I think even if it's not good, that like Kitty and Cable are both just great models that I will play in Storm or Cyclops. And so like maybe you don't focus around it, but you'll just incidentally have those opportunities in games to try to make a model live when it shouldn't. Even if that's not like the game plan of building a bunker, you just end up with those things because you could like take this off her card and I'm still pretty excited to play her.
Hell yeah.
So, Nate, can I ask you a loaded question?
Is it about how much your card sucks?
Well, actually, it's similar. It is. You figured it out. You really beat me to the punch there. But are you going to play her Venom Blast card?
No, because it's not a Venom Blast and I hate you.
What is Venom Blast?
Miles' spender.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Hers is like the really complicated steel.
Yeah. It is 3 power and a card and an action to make a 6 die range 1 attack that if you roll a wild, they drop stuff.
It's a range 3 attack.
It is not. Oh, right, because she places. Yeah.
Yeah, she gets to place within 1 before she makes the attack.
Choose an enemy character within 3, place her within 1, make a range 1 attack. Yeah. Which I think it does matter because that means she's standing right next to them afterwards, unless she has an action left. Right. Yeah. So it is a range 1 attack, but also not a range 1 attack. But it's not just a range 3 attack because it does put her in the danger zone. I think the card's terrible.
Somebody didn't put it on MCPDB, so I don't know.
It is on there. I'm looking at it right now. Hold still. Shadow Cat.
Hold Still by Shadow Cat.
Oh, it's a Shadow Cat card. I
Yeah.
tried to type in Kitty Pryde. Like
Yeah, I keep doing that. I've had to break my habit and remember that her name is Shadowcat. Yeah, I don't know. It's bad. It's 3 power 40% of the time you don't steal. Minus, I guess, if the attack just kills them. But, like, it can just whiff and whiff really hard. And I don't want to spend... I don't like gambly tactics cards in general. Like, if you look at the
what if you
tactic cards...
Death's Decree it?
Sure.
Or you
And she
dump
was
a bunch
injured.
of
And then there's a
rerolls
Baron
into it.
Mordo there who can also boot. Like, fuck off.
Or you just put a bunch of rerolls into it with Professor X. There you go.
Sure. I
And
just
then
don't
it
like
gets refunded.
my tactics cards to be dicey. Like, if you look at the tactics cards I
Yeah.
tend to play, it's very much just like this effect happens. Because I think you only get 5 of those things, and I want to know what they're going to do. Right? Like, I like my tactics cards being ways to make definitive things happen in a game that has very swingy dice. Right? And I don't. I want to use them to manage the swingy dice and not get more pulls at the slot machine.
Yeah. I mean, like, this has all the problems of... It's the reason that, like, the Professionals doesn't see play. Whereas, like, Professionals, if you guys don't know, is the Clint Barden, Natasha Romanoff card that lets you... If Black Widow's nearby and Hawkeye shoots somebody, the objective drops to Natasha. The problem is you have to call your shot with the card. You have to have you have to play the card and then meet the conditions, not meet the conditions and then play the card.
Yeah. Like, Vince asked me when this came out, it's like, would you be mad if this was more like, can I borrow that? And I was like, hell no. I love Can I Borrow That? Like, yeah, it's conditional, but you don't ever waste the card. Like, you can never waste Can I Borrow That unless you bring it, like, on a civilian map like an idiot, right? But, like, as long as you play it on assets, that card will never go to waste, right? You'll either use it or, I guess, it'll stay in your hand, but you can't play it to no effect. And I'm totally down for that, right? That's not the kind of randomness that bothers me.
All right, let's move it along. Cause...
Yeah, it's fine. Bishop will be quick. He's fine.
I think he's fine, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's better in X-Force than he is in X-Men. He kind of feels like more of an X-Force-y character in general. He really likes having that leadership to get more damage in. He really likes cable shields. So, like, I could put him in the, like, Cyclops bunker I'm building, but I think I'd rather just have a different model there. But, like, I don't know, whatever. His attack is good. His spender is hard for me to tell, but I just don't like the big area attack stuff anyways. And his throw is good.
I think if you knew you were going to be in a gunfight, playing him over Kurt is, like, not the worst thing in the world. But will he be in your roster?
Probably not.
And, like, I do like that he has, like, synergy with all of the leaderships that he is likely in. Like, having... Like, so he has a leader, or he has a superpower to trigger the Xavier leadership, and he loves the Xavier reroll bubble because if he rerolls into a wild, that can be so much more than just one block.
Yes.
He loves the cable shield, and he loves the cable reroll. He loves the storm defensive reroll because that can, again, give him the wild, which can be so much more. And then he loves the extra power from Cyclops, as well as, like, being a good character to give power out with.
Yeah, he definitely can do cool stuff. Like, if you fuel him up and then do his big AoE, it's pretty likely he just gets to donate a power back to everyone else as well. So, yeah, he has cool synergies. I wish he had 6 health in the back.
It's so hard to know how durable the character is because of how swingy his dice are. Like, you thought Marvel dice were swingy. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was doing some, like, basic shit.
I see, because of energy absorption.
Yeah. On mcpdice.com, and it's, like, kind of close to having spider senses. All right, like, I was trying to think of, like, other common defense things.
But doesn't it get, like, super wonky once you start adding defense dice to it, with which he's likely to do, right? Like, it gets better than spider senses really fast.
Not as fast as... It doesn't get as wonky as people think it does, but it does ramp up with dice, yes. I expected a more extreme difference as you went up to dice, but it's not as extreme. But it's... Yes, he does benefit from additional dice and reels more than with the spider senses. So that's a very, very, very rough ballpark. But it's also going to be one of those things where, like, you feel it in game, where he's gonna be like, I am just fucking invincible, and I am def 3/6 health goodbye, right? And he will just
well,
he will
especially
have
because
those
he
patterns.
hurts himself. Like he's pretty likely to hurt himself more if he gets hurt a lot. So
Yep. The overload can compound into some very bad times for him.
yeah,
Yeah,
like he can
overload
he can
being in
get
the power
dazed.
phase is fucked.
Yeah, that's really bad for him. He can just lose entire turns like that.
Can lose a turn and then start the next turn on 4 health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be
Yeah,
like,
true.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You leave him on 1 on 8 power, takes 1 in the power phase, loses his whole turn, takes 1 in the next power phase, has 4 health. Like, get
If you have
wrecked.
pride,
Damn, that
just-
actually makes me feel worse about him. I feel like I kind of think he's pretty bad, actually, because of how that works. I didn't think about the fact that it would kind of double tap you.
Yeah, I mean, I think finding ways to manage his power, like, okay, I like that he has something like this on his card because it is fluffy, right?
Yeah.
I wish the timing was not the power phase. Like, I think you move the timing
Yeah.
to the cleanup, life gets a lot better. And I don't like they fucking figured this out with cubes. Like, we used to have all these things that did damage in the
Yeah.
power phase, and then they changed all the cleanup phase, and now we're back here again. Fucking
Yeah, doesn't
stop
I
it.
mean, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, it seems unlikely he would ever. I mean, I'm sure he will occasionally, but it seems more likely that he'll have 4 health than 5 health on his back, basically. Like it, because getting dazed is
sorta.
usually the most frequent time that you have a lot of power too.
The other thing is, like, he could be like, if he's on 1 power and gets 1 shot, he will only have 7 power.
What? No, won't he generate another one and then take?
No,
a
he
damage?
generates after overload checks.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, at the start of the power phase.
So
Okay, well, that's
it's
a little
like-
bit better, but
Yeah.
He's just like this character that has really sharp corners for both players. Right? Like, if you're
Yeah.
playing him, you can bump into the situation where, like, he can just be 2 health less.
yeah,
And there's, like, not a lot of agency. But then you can also be a person that's putting shot after shot into him, and he's rolling, like, single wild, oh, double wilds. Like, if you listen to Muse this week, they were talking about a situation where he played, or Doc Ock attacked him, rolled 6 hits, hit, wild, and he rolled double wild and took no damage. Because he changes both of Doc Ock's wilds to blanks.
Oh, I see.
And then has 2 blocks, and is like,
That's funny.
no, thank you, thanks, enjoy it. Your 6 hits were adorable, but I'm just gonna collect 2 power, right? So, like, he just has these really sharp edges in his design, and interested to see where he shakes out in the meta, but I kind of suspect it's not going to be great.
I mean, I think he's pretty close to being a sort of ideal new release where, like, he's interesting for his factions and probably not that interesting for other factions, and that's fine, right?
Yeah,
He is a model that's immune to Incinerate and Stun, which opens up
Yes, that is also
interesting crisis play, right? If you want to become a Fisk or Demons person. I think the immunity to Incinerate, I think, is actually quite notable in X-Force, who I think is a faction that would love to play Demons and has no immune to Incinerate models to begin with. And so having a guy who can stand on your back point and not be punished for it is a big deal, right? And then they can, like, splash another one and be happy times if they really want to, but...
Also think if you're going to splash this guy, I think he's so interesting in Midnight Suns.
Oh, sure.
Because, like, you can play Incinerate immune models. Like, so you play Voodoo, who's immune to Incinerate. You play this guy who's immune to Incinerate. And Bump, like, this is a character that would love Bump.
Yes.
And then Blade is, like, pseudo immune to Incinerate. So, like, just it just seems like a situation you'd love.
Yeah, that seems totally reasonable. And, like, his throw is baller, right? Like, everybody skims over that because it's
throw
like,
is
oh, it's
really
just
good.
Bill's throw. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Who's like,
Yeah, Bill's throw is, like, the best throw in the game.
it's like 1 power off being actually the best throw in the game. Cool, great, love it. I think that's cool, and I think that's something X-Force would also be happy to have, right? Because they're a faction that, if they have a problem, currently their only real solution is violence, right? Like, they have OG Wolverine Spender that can throw on damage, and otherwise their only solution to problems is violence. And so giving them an option to just, like, kill everything else, and then Bishop throws this one dude off the point, hooray, is cool.
Yeah.
We also haven't seen his cards. We know he has an X-Force card in his box. So could be some goodness there. But, like, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't fit over all of the insane 4 threats that I have in X-Men, but I think he is a very natural and good fit for X-Force.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Cool. Do we have anything else to talk about?
Shadow King.
I guess, yeah, okay. I guess we can talk about Shadow King. All of everything I'm going to say is assuming that Shadow King is Brotherhood, because that's what the timelines thing says. So if he's not actually Brotherhood, he's bad, and he should feel bad, and you should throw him in the trash. I think he is like on the cusp of being good enough to be in the list. I'm kind of basically trying to figure out like the last 2 roster slots in my list right now need to go to 2 models, and I have like 4 options, which are Blob, Quicksilver, Shadow King, and Red Skull 3. And also, I guess if Red Skull 3 is one of those 2 slots, the second one might become Zemo 1, so I can actually play Cabal occasionally. But I think Shadow King is legitimate in that spot. I think he would be kind of a specialist for E-shapes, like getting put on E-shapes by my nefarious opponents, because I don't intentionally do that. And I think he's good there, question mark. He could really dunk somebody if his tricks and traps thing hits. And his builder is obviously amazing.
Yes, his builder is fantastic.
Yeah, his builder is unbelievably good. And he will be as good as the amount of builders that you get to use. But I don't know if he's enough. I haven't put him on the table since... I put him on the table once before, and I thought he was okay. And I haven't done it since he got his card. The list of the last 2 slots that I'm trying to fill does have a card slot along with it, because currently I have Quicksilver in there that has, can I borrow that? So obviously if Quicksilver gets dropped, I would drop it. And I think his card is really hard to talk about because it reads... So I guess I should read it just because it was only like fake leaked, right? So it's called Astral Plane, it is unaffiliated, it is reactive, and it says, during the power phase, Shadow King may spend $1 to play this card. Choose a secure objective token and place an Astral Incursion token on it. Just to be clear to the listener, Astral Incursion token is only from the Astral Plane. It's not also his channeling thing from his character card. Enemy characters suffer 1 wound when they end an activation within 1 of the Astral Incursion, and when they interact with the objective token marked by the Astral Incursion. During the next cleanup phase, remove all Astral Incursion tokens. I wish I could have more than 1 Astral Incursion token, because that last sentence really implies that there could be more than 1. But anyway, it's hard to talk about because it sort of on the face of it works like Sinister Traps, where it's you put it on something and then somebody's sad if they walk next to it, but really it's kind of the opposite of that. Like it doesn't require you to play on the first turn, and actually you almost certainly should not play it on the first turn. You should like play it in the late game when people are already hurting, and 1 damage might actually daze somebody or something, or like make a difference in your attempt to daze something. And so it's kind of like a gotcha in that way, but it's like a late game piece, and it's sort of hard to understand exactly how often it will be useful. And it is more useful on pay to flips because people will get hit by it twice if they try to pay to flip, because whether or not they succeed in the pay to flip, they will get they will take damage, and then they will take another damage when they end their activation next to it. I guess if I'm playing him and I'm not playing Quicksilver, I will put the card in my 10 because it seems worth trying, but it's kind of hard to picture that like really turning a game around. Like I think it's actually really easy to turn to picture it turning a game around. You picture a guy on one wound who can then just not walk to any secure that matters. That is literally true. And it has no range, which is nice. So like Sinister Traps, you can put it on any secure in the game. But I don't know how likely that is to like come up all that often. And yeah, so I have mixed feelings about Shadow King. I think he's really cool. I think I definitely want to like him because his model is awesome and he's a pretty unique dude. The closest model that he's like is Claw, and he's the same class as Claw. And I sort of think if you don't have either of them affiliated but you wanted this kind of guy, you should just pick Claw. But but he is affiliated for Brotherhood. Shadow King is affiliated for Brotherhood, so he should be the pick if I want anything like this dude. Yeah.
I actually think I like him much more than Claw.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He's pretty slow, though. I mean, his short move is really hurting him, I think, compared to...
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest downside on him for sure, right? Like the short move, medium base is not great. We've seen it on Kingpin. We know what it's like. It's not a good place to be, right?
Yeah.
Claw is technically faster at small base, medium move, but it's still not what I would call a fast model.
Sure, yeah, true. Totally.
I think Shadow King has better attacks. I think Shadow King has I guess it's hard to tell which push effect is better, right? Because Claws is obviously guaranteed, but Shadow King being in the middle of someone's activation is kind of it's such an interesting thing where like I feel like it gets better the better players you're playing against, because like a person like me is not happy about the 56% chance that my activation just totally fails. Right? It's like, I need to go walk over here and hit someone. I walk in, I get pushed out. I have to walk again. My turn is over. Right? And that's going to happen 56% of the time. That is more of a problem for me to solve than like mid-table players who are just going to be like, fuck it, we ball. You know?
That's true.
And it has like more passive control over what I'm doing because I'm going to try harder to play around it, which I think is an interesting part of his kit that's hard to evaluate.
Yeah, also, there is a very small chance, unlike Claw, that it will just do 3 damage for no reason.
Sure, yes.
Which is like not something I would ever plan around, but I think that actually could just win you a game randomly sometime.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, my 3 health guy just died.
I think it's more complicated than you make it out to be, Nate, because Nightmare Visions also gets blown out by stuff like Beta Ray Bill. Like if they reduce damage to 0, like it just like it, you probably don't even pay for it. It's
do not use it against
14% or something.
Damage reducers, but there's not. There's not that many of them. It's what Bill.
Well, you say there's not that many of them, but like one of the problems that I'm thinking about is that part of what this guy is supposed to do for me is be like an E-shape type guy, and you see a lot of fucking Beta Ray Bills on E-shapes. I mean, there's
a lot of Beta Ray Bill in general. Like, there's not that many of them, but there's Bill in every third list.
And he actually kind of gets owned by Bill in general. So rooting Bill, very good. Yeah. But also, he has to deal damage to walk a guy with his builder, which means Beta Ray Bill also gets too aggressive in response to that. So, I don't know.
I agree. His biggest problem is Bill. Yes. Like, if Bill is in actually every list all the time forever, then I think Shadow King feels worse. If we enter an era where Bill is less popular, it definitely helps out Shadow King. Because I don't think
God willing. A golden age.
The other damage reducers, like, you don't give a shit about Crossbones, right? Like, you know what I mean? Kingpin, not a huge deal for you. You'll be fine, right? Most of the other damage reducers, I guess Thanos is kind of a problem as well. But at least you can.
At least he doesn't
Thanos
have aggressive.
Away. Yeah,
I mean, it is. Yeah, it's annoying still, but at least you don't have to deal with aggressive.
Helmet is also more prevalent than it's ever been. Like, I feel like Mystic attacks, they just keep introducing models that are just like really good against Mystic attacks. I think whether this character is good is going to be entirely dependent on whether you can go put him somewhere and then he gets to make double attacks.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally, that's the game plan, is he wants to attack twice. And like,
and
I think
Claw's much better at that.
Well, Claw's better at that, but I think Shadow King gets more from
he has helmet.
Like, I mean, like it just as an example, like I think Shadow King is pretty hard for Shield to get off of an E shape because you don't really have Bill or Thanos or something like that. Like he will actually fuck with your positioning a lot. Fuck with Shield's positioning a lot.
You mean Claw?
No, Shadow King. Shadow King.
Doesn't he just get shot by Iron Man? And then cease to be on the point if I roll wild?
I mean,
which is the only way that I can move anyone?
Well, okay. But I mean, I guess that's true of like everybody I would put on the point. Like, that's just like a true fact about the matchup, regardless of what I put, except for the Blob. But
I guess technically not Claw, who doesn't have helmet. He has energy helmet.
Yeah, he has energy helmet.
So Shadow King can move Claw around, but Iron Man cannot.
Yeah, true.
Get fucked, Vince.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm terrified of Claw. Like, Claw is like... Yeah, it's just going to come down to like how the tempo of the game works. Do you get spiked on, or do you get to live the Immortal Essence dream? Can you put him in a place like the less displacement your opponent has, the better this guy's going to be.
Absolutely.
But
Well, that's definitely true. But yeah,
like Bill's a disaster. Like if Bill walks up, you can't push him away. He throws you medium. You have to spend your action walking almost back to where you were.
yeah, very sad. Or spend your action astral fiending. Pachow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I have kind of mixed feelings about him. I really want him to be good, and it would be cool if I found out that Astral Plane, his card, is actually the coolest shit in the game, and I like killed people with it all the time. That would be hype, but it doesn't really feel.
I do
it feels
think-
okay, not great.
I also think a unappreciated part of his kit that offsets some of his problems, doesn't totally solve it, but he does have access to Asteroid M, which is a pretty
That's
good
true.
way
Yes.
Yeah.
to get
Asteroid
his
M is
ass
a big
into
deal,
a
yeah.
great place, right? So like,
Yeah, sorry, I meant to say that.
Yeah,
but I just
Asteroid M
forgot
and
to
then
say it.
double
But I,
tapping the shackle. Wow.
for better or for worse, you play Asteroid M with him all the time because he will love that, and he's also, yeah, he will love that, and he's good at using it in both directions. I think too, because he's always going to want to be central anyway. So. And I do think, it's just hard because it's so fucking expensive. But I think that people are maybe underrating the fact that you can Nightmare Visions from Astral Fiend. But again, that requires 7 power, so that's a pain in the ass. But
yeah, I mean, he is pretty good at making power if he gets, again,
Yeah,
one of these
true.
situations where he gets to play his feud. But he makes 2 a turn and has a 6-die Mystic builder that he wants to be using all the time, right? And so, like...
Yeah.
7 is a lot, but he's also better at getting to 7 than a lot of models.
yeah, it's not. I totally agree with that. It's not about that exactly. It's that the number 7 is so close to 10. Thank you. You're welcome, listeners, for that insight. That when you do this, which does not generate power for yourself, like no half of it, is that you can only be remaining on 3 after that, which is kind of a pain. But I don't know. I'm not saying that makes it bad or anything. I just think
That's why you got to play him under Magneto, and then you can fuel him back up.
That's true. I mean, that would make it better for sure. But,
Or you put the Fiend token out and then you make a builder.
well, yeah. I mean, I think you would only do Astral Fiend if you were not going to walk. But I mean, I think that I guess what I'm saying is that he could be somewhere not actually on the central point, and then he can Fiend to it, builder, and then he's still holding Nightmare Visions on top of the central point without actually being there, which is pretty nice. And as long as that stays up, you can't stop him from doing that. Like you can fucking do you know who I am him into my deployment zone, and he's still projecting Nightmare Visions on the central point for 1 turn.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
think there's interesting play. There was another one I thought of. Is just like, so he's not good on D shapes, right? Like obviously
Yeah, no, he's
he's
not.
rough for him. But he has interesting things to do where like if he gets planted on one of the 2 middle Ds, right? He can Astral Visions and attack either your home D or the opponent's D from the same position, right?
Yeah.
Which does give him an interesting ability to be like, one enemy model on one of these points is very likely to be attacked and walked off of it, right? Which is
Yeah.
like not a terrible. If you think about like other models having to like walk throw someone off a point, right? He's like simulating doing that, but staying put.
Yeah, totally. And he can do similar stuff like on not Senators, Scoundrels. He
Sure.
He can be
Yeah.
on any of the non-central Scoundrels and Astral onto the central one and be holding Nightmare Visions on top of it. So that's something too, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting angle. Like, I know everybody's like, "Oh, Astral Vision shouldn't be in action or should stick around." Fuck off. No, that would be horrifying. We do not need him to be able to double tap anyone on the board, regardless of his position. But it's
Yeah.
like a weird, janky, interesting hit and run is, I think, the better way to look at this power, right? Because like in a lot of situations, if you have hit and run, right, your turn becomes walk up, pay for hit and run, make an attack, go back
Then
to where I
move
was.
back. Yeah,
Right.
Totally.
And that's the kind of like the floor of what this does, and then has a bunch of weird and interesting play on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wish he had like one more trick with the Astral Fiend, because I agree with you that if it didn't cast in action, it would be too much. It would be like too dominant in the center of the field. But I just wish there was like some other sauce. Like I was really hoping before we saw his card that whatever his card did would interact with Astral Fiend in some way, and I'm sort of disappointed that it doesn't. From a design perspective, I didn't really have like a strong idea of how it would be balanced or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So I'm definitely gonna try him, and I think he looks really cool. But I'm not putting. His name doesn't start with Cosmic, I guess is what I'm saying. So
Yeah, he's definitely a weird niche piece, right? I do not expect him to become a new staple of anyone's list besides the Trap House aficionados, because you obviously play him in the Trap House list.
Well, definitely. Yeah.
That's just the goofy, like getting to Nightmare Vision someone over into a Tricks and Traps and a Trick or Treat is just the goofiest shit. So like obviously he'll play there. I think he's gotten a bad rap, and I think he is legitimately, I think at worst he's a good model that gets pushed out of the meta by Bill, and sometimes that just happens in these games.
The fucking horse claims another victim. That's all I have to say about Mr. King. Anybody? Do we have anything else to talk about? Do we talk about all the fucking models? Listeners, comment below. Do we talk about all the fucking models?
Well, there's a shit ton of tactics cards we didn't talk about that aren't worth talking about.
Huge. They suck.
Excellent.
Mind Wipe is a trap. Don't play Mind Wipe.
Don't play Mind Wipe. I forgot what that card is.
It's the weird got your back from Xavier.
Oh yeah, play Mind Wipe. It's hype. You can use an enemy Iceman to trigger it or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then roll 4 dice at them.
Yeah, killing them instantly.
All right, guys. I think with that, we've been a size 3 taco truck.